I'm Dwayne.
I'm Joe, two of the Oak Ridge Boys. Please join us Sunday, May 7th
At WrestleWar 89 in Nashville.
Sunday, May 7th, 1989.
A date which will live in infamy.
Live from Nashville, an exclusive pay-per-view event of epic proportions. WrestleWar 89, the Music City Showdown. This time, they've finally done it. Cringe at the awesome firepower of Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, fighter for the values that made America great, as he takes on Japan's corporate mercenary Ric Flair in a world title match. It'll be grueling hand-to-hand combat as the Nature Boy seeks to liberate the coveted world heavyweight belt away from its current occupying force. Also in a U.S. title match, Total Package Lex Luger seeks to avenge his betrayal by a former comrade-at-arms Michael P.S. Hayes. Not since Pearl Harbor has revenge been such a motivating factor. And in a TV title match, Sting, hero to America's youth, duels the most dastardly desert dweller since the Ayatollah, the Iron Sheik. Witness the carnage of a world tag team title match between Mike Rotunda and Dr. Death as they engage the most fearsome force since the Warsaw Pact, the Road Warriors, under the command of tactician Paul Ellering. Plus, a live performance by special guests, the Oak Ridge Boys. Live from Nashville, Tennessee, Turner Home Entertainment proudly presents all your heroes in a multi-megaton massacre. So be on the front line for WrestleWar 89, the Music City Showdown. Call your local cable operator for availability.
Turn it on and rip the knob off.
This is episode 8, and we're doing great right here at the Wrestling Memory Grenade. If you're new to the program, I'm your host, Ray Russell, and joining me for this endless voyage of wrestling goodness is Mr. Steven Eckstedt. And Steve, welcome once again to the show.
Happy to be here, man. Can't wait to get going.
And we have quite the show in store for you here today. It's another of those special hybrid episodes where we break down the weekend of NWA TV before diving into yet another watch-along. And this time we're tackling the weekend of May 6, 1989 in the NWA, and we will conclude this episode with the WrestleWar 89 pay-per-view watch-along. And Steve, I am beyond excited for this one. So many changes in the booking has already got me amped up for what should be an amazing pay-per-view, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. The TV got me really excited, all the angles and all the feuds and everything, so I'm ready to see the culmination of what we've been watching. It's going to be awesome.
And a reminder for you all to stay tuned to the program as we'll be announcing the winner of our very first Wrestling Memory Grenade free prize giveaway directly before the watch-along portion of this episode. And I tweeted the news out at the beginning of this past week. We have decided to say, to hell with the USPS. That's right, be damned with the post office. Everyone near and far qualified for and will continue to qualify for our free prize giveaway in the future. That includes the United States and all around the globe. So I hope everyone had a chance to check that out. Special thanks to those who retweeted our posts. You haven't gone unnoticed. And we've already got our next several free prize giveaways lined up, so just a reminder that all you have to do in order to qualify is A, have an address, and B, follow us on Twitter at Wrestling Grenade. It's that simple. Follow us on Twitter at RASSLIN Grenade, and you are automatically entered into each and every free prize giveaway. And more great news, Steve, as we have finally opened our very own Patreon account. You can go over to Patreon right now, patreon.com/WrestleCopia. That's Wrestle, C-O-P-I-A, to check out all the great tiers we have there at the WrestleCopia brand Patreon account. An astounding 14 tiers, everything from $1 all the way up to $100, get you all kinds of exciting things. So guys, I encourage everyone to head on over to our patreon.com/WrestleCopia. That's Wrestle, C-O-P-I-A. Check out all the great offers we have over there. It's as little as $1, as much as $100, depends on what kind of money you have in your pocket and what tier you value the most. You can do everything from join the show with me and Steve all the way down to get exciting unedited episodes of The Grenade and other podcasts we have planned, as well as early access show notes. You can even pick the flick. And what that means is you subscribe to the Patreon account at a certain tier level, and you guys get to tell us what you want us to review, what you want to watch along with us, what you want us to find and review, live review for your pleasure. And it doesn't end there. There's a $5 tier, the Power Hour tier, a Power Patron tier. All you have to do is subscribe $5 to the Patreon account, and you'll be privy to our very exclusive Power Hour podcast that we put out anywhere from between 2 and 4 times per month. It's unfiltered, unedited. We say whatever we think, whatever we feel about just about any topic. We answer your questions. We review the latest pay-per-views. We even have a little segment we like to call Things Meltzer Said, where we don't necessarily agree with things Meltzer said, and we kind of argue those things. There's also a lot of other great questions and stories there, so we really encourage everyone to go on over to the Patreon, check everything out. Subscribe to the Power Hour tier, subscribe to the $7 tier, the All Access tier, because not only do you get access to the Power Hour, you get access to hidden gems as far as other shows we've reviewed, random shows, everything from goodies like the Steamboat and Flair match from Clash 6 all the way to the Saturday Night's Main Event Halloween episode from 1985. It's a hodgepodge of fun as you can watch along and listen to our reviews of random shows, and we really encourage everyone to go on over to Patreon, go look at the tiers, and subscribe now. And right now, all we're looking for is to make back a few of the bucks that we spent, that we put into this project, this WrestleCopia Podcast Network. And so with that out of the way, I think it's about time to get going. But before we do that, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention everybody over at the Retro Network. Great people always over at the Retro Network, always posting the greatest retro era, 1980s, 1990s. I love everything going on over there at all times. You can't never miss a day because there's always something new going up. Jason, Mickey, the crew, want to thank you guys for making us a part of the Retro Network, and want to thank everyone, all of our subscribers here for listening to us as part of the Retro Network and the WrestleCopia brand. And now with that out of the way, I think we can begin this week. I'm sure everybody's waiting with bated breath here as we count down to the watch-along later in the program. And remember, stay tuned. We'll be announcing the winner of the Lex Luger promo pick right before the watch-along later in the program. But before we can get to the watch-along, we've got to get through the weekend of television. And that begins with NWA Pro and Worldwide in syndication. But this week, both those shows were just highlight reels of what's coming up at WrestleWar here. So we move straight into the nighttime program, World Championship Wrestling, for May 6, 1989. We kick things off with a promo from Michael P.S. Hayes. Hayes is still pissed off. He's been removed from his hosting gig here at World Championship Wrestling. He still calls it his show. Talks trash to Lex Luger about WrestleWar, obviously makes sense. Continues to say he's the only Freebird, which is starting to catch my attention because he's saying it over and over for what seems like no good reason up front.
At this point, during this promo, it felt like he was saying it because there's something to it. There has to be something to it. You just don't constantly mention these guys if you're doing nothing with them. So I guess that's something to look forward to. He mentioned something about being a home wrecker during this promo. And outside of that, I thought this was a decent promo. He did really well. He kind of pivoted on this feud and is just trying to prove himself as a singles wrestler, kind of focused solely on in-ring and wanting to prove himself, saying, how he has been saying, I'm the best Freebird there was. They needed me more than I needed them. And he's out to show that he could do it on his own. And to me, I always buy into those stories. So even though it is Michael Hayes, I like this promo, and I'm actually looking forward to this match because I do want to see what Hayes can do when he's put in this position by himself. I don't have my hopes up that he's going to put on a classic, but I'm hoping he performs better than he has, the first 3 or 4 months of NWA in 1989.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, that's what Hayes was best known for, talking people into the seats, not necessarily delivering in the ring. Fans did enjoy seeing him get his comeuppance when he got it. Moving on, we get our first match of the night. It's Rick Steiner with Missy Hyatt. He gets a win over Max MacGyver here at about 45 seconds with the belly-to-belly. Rick is greeted once again by his number one fan. If you have the live version, you'll note that Rick Steiner's coming back out to the old Donna Summer Hot Stuff theme here. We get generic Donna Summer sounding music on the WWE Network, so at least they tried. It's not like the Road Warriors and the live version's Iron Man and the network version some hokey teeny bopper music, so at least they're trying here. It sounded very Donna Summer-esque anyway on the network. And just when Rick was getting back into form, he gets stuck in this stupid storyline with Nancy Sullivan as the fan in the crowd. I don't know if you cared for this or not. I'd be curious to get your opinion on the whole thing.
I don't know. I don't necessarily hate it. But it's the NWA, and I don't expect these things from them. This is something we've seen it in the WWF, or we may see it a little later on in the year with Sapphire and Dusty Rhodes, like a fan loving Dusty Rhodes dressing up as that. So it's kind of funny how the roles kind of reverse there, and WWF stole from them. I don't mind it if it's done properly, but to me, this isn't the avenue. I mean, Rick Steiner, yeah, he's a little we'll take a JR saying and say he's goofier than a pet coon, and he has Alex and things like that. But at the end of the day, when the bell rang, he was as legit as it got. He was tough, he was physical, he had the look, and he could brutalize people. And to hamper him with a gimmick or a story like this, it did him no favors. Like you said, he was getting back into form, and then all of a sudden this happens. It seems like that seems to be the roller coaster for these guys, Eddie Gilbert and then Rick Steiner, is they get hot, they give them crap, they fall down, they get up again, they give them more crap, and they fall back down. I feel sorry for them because they deserve better. I don't like it.
Yeah, and I wonder if had Woman been gimmicked up in a little more realistic looking outfit rather than a cartoony nerd character, if this whole entire thing would have played out just a little better, if I could have at least believed the character that was, jumping all over Rick week to week here. The only other note I have for this match is Missy was looking hot here, H-A-W-T, hot. During this match, if you remember back last week, we had Sullivan come out, he had scissors, he was trying to cut the hair of Eddie Gilbert, he was trying to cut the hair of Missy Hyatt. Jim Ross does mention here that Sullivan did get clips of hair from both Eddie Gilbert and Missy Hyatt. And this is kind of important because the U.S. Tag Team title match at WrestleWar is now a hair versus hair match, or that's the way it's sold right now, with the losing team, either Kevin Sullivan or Eddie Gilbert, will have their head shaved. And that's basically what Jim Ross is selling right here at this point in time.
I was wondering because he mentioned that, and then this seemed like out of nowhere. They just said it's going to be a hair versus hair match. It never really officially announced it anywhere else. So I was like, oh, okay. Because I remember seeing him cut the hair of Eddie and try to get Missy before the Road Warriors came out to stop it. I didn't know they didn't do anything after that to kind of even say that this is going to be a hair versus hair match. There's one thing I do want to point out in this match. Steiner picked up Max MacGyver, and he was doing the bear hug over the head, belly to belly thing.
Yeah.
And on this one, I don't know if he picked up Max as oh crap, he's too heavy or what, but he just dropped him flat on his face right in the middle of the ring instead of throwing him over his head. It just looked brutal. I felt bad for Max there. There's no way that felt good at all.
Definitely not the last time Rick Steiner will probably drop somebody on their face.
Oh, man. I felt bad for the guy.
And we move forward with the Kevin Sullivan promo. He seems to have a bit of hair in his hand to begin things, but throws it down immediately. I don't know if it's supposed to be Eddie's or Missy's or whatever the story is. He says Missy Hyatt and women in general have no place in the business. He craps on Rick Steiner for once being a tough guy badass, who is now hanging out with a wannabe tough guy in Eddie Gilbert and the bleach blonde Hyatt. They show clips of the Sullivan and Missy stuff that's been going on where Missy slaps Sullivan, where Kevin tries to cut their hair. Sullivan says the titles are coming back. Meanwhile, Spivey has been noticeably absent ever since Clash, except for that one run-in. So I don't really know what the deal is here. Could be an injury, could be nothing at all. Just random luck that hasn't been around as much. I do miss the promos, though. I miss the coconut.
Hey, Blake, little howdy doody on your coconut. Ho, ho.
I get a little coconut for everybody there.
Thank you. I needed that.
Yeah, but once again, Sullivan's playing with hair here at the beginning of the promo, so he's continuing the push that Jim Ross started in the Steiner match of the hair versus hair storyline in the tag team title match at the pay-per-view. Of course, we'll see what happens when we get to the pay-per-view, but right now, that's what we're being handed. We'll move on. Ric Flair promo. It's Flair's last promo before the big pay-per-view. He's out there with the ladies again. Another typical Flair promo. He says he's got 24 hours, and he's already partying and planning for a big celebration at the Hyatt Regency. Just a typical Ric Flair promo. It makes you feel like he just exudes confidence, and even though this is a work and he knows what's going to happen tomorrow, it just feels like the character, it's hilarious. He just knows he's going to win the title. He doesn't believe he can lose.
We discussed it. How he changed with the whole story, and this was another one of those promos a day away, and he's more worried about shagging chicks at a hotel than he is winning the title because he knows it's in the bag. Just a great talent. I mean, he's one of the best ever, and watching 89 is proving that point for sure.
And during that promo, Jim Ross had promised that Ric Flair would stay on for commentary in the next match, which involves Ricky's Steamboat, but Flair actually just leaves. He doesn't even tell Ross, no, I'm not, what are you talking about? I'm not sticking around for this or anything. He just takes off, and Ross has to basically cover for, well, I guess I was wrong. I think he hints at the ladies. He says Flair has more important things to do, but following the Flair promo, we do go to the ring with world champion Ricky Steamboat with a win over Lee Scott. Steamboat with a win here with the double chicken wing in about 2.5 minutes to send a message to Flair. That would have been perfect to have Flair out there on commentary while he's watching Lee Scott submit to the double chicken wing.
Yeah, I think so too. Because later on, Flair has a match and Steamboat stays out, and Flair wins with the figure 4. But it kind of plays into the whole perception here that Flair's just unconcerned. Like Steamboat's not going to show him anything he doesn't already know. At first, like it would have been nice to have him out there just to see it, but at the same time, the way Flair is playing his gimmick at this point, it'd probably make more sense for him to just walk off.
Right, but I did think it was a nice touch for Steamboat to use the double chicken wing going into the pay-per-view to remind everyone that not only did he make Flair submit, he also pinned him with it. So Steamboat just keeping that fresh in everyone's minds, and that plays into the contest as well. Also during this match, they finally announced the 3 former world champions who will be judges for the last chance match, and that'll be Lou Thesz, Pat O'Connor, and Terry Funk. Funk is noticeably younger than the other 2 guys. Kind of an interesting choice there. We'll see what comes of that.
They couldn't throw like Harley Race in there just to kind of make it less obvious.
Well, I don't know. It might be a St. Louis thing. It might be a Jim Herd thing. Jim Herd probably knew of Lou Thesz and Pat O'Connor during his time working at the TV studio when Sam Mushnick was running shows in St. Louis. That's just my guess. I don't know.
Wasn't Harley there too then?
Oh, sure.
Or was
sure,
that?
But Harley came along later.
Gotcha. Okay. I was just curious because, that just looks too obvious.
And we move into the designated hitter match. Nobody seemed to know the rules of this match until we got to the segment. So we finally learned the rules of the match just as it's about to take place. The match pits Road Warrior Animal taking on Dr. Death Steve Williams. And the rules of the bout state that each man will take turns punching the other one in the face as the receiving wrestler sits on a bar stool in the middle of the ring. What did you think of let's not get to what happens yet. What did you think of the rules of this match?
Whose idea was this? And this is beyond stupid. That was my notes for this. It sounds like those new slapping contests where you're standing there and you can see you can get knocked out by slapping each other in the face. Like, I don't know, man. This is just completely dumb. The rules are dumb. It made no sense. And to me, it just sounds like an easy way to expose the business a little bit. If you're throwing work punches, how do you ever go knock somebody out?
Well, they would work like they got knocked off.
Yeah, I get that. But I mean, at the end of the day, man, this was just dumb. Completely stupid idea.
Well, when I first heard the rules, that was basically my mindset as well. We go into the match. Doc has apparently won the imaginary coin toss backstage, so he'll go first. He gets to throw the first punch. And in classic heel fashion, with Animal sitting on the bar stool, without even going one round, Doc runs at Animal and nails him with a clothesline, knocks Animal right off the bar stool, which I thought was cool. I thought that was clever. But as always, Animal no-sells it, pops straight up from getting knocked off the bar stool, and he actually levels Doc with a 10 times stiffer clothesline. It looked awesome, very explosive clothesline from Animal, but the segment winds up with both tag teams brawling, Rotunda and Dr. Death and the Roadies both brawling. And I thought, for as bad as the concept of the match was, and I'm not saying the delivery was great either, but the idea behind the delivery I thought was really the only way you could get out of this match without it looking stupid. To have Doc just, why are we doing this? I'll just take you right out of the seat. I thought that was great. I didn't like the clothesline Doc gave Animal. I didn't like how the bar stool turned over in slow motion. Animal took that little slow fall backwards. That kind of killed it for me. But I did like the idea behind what they were going for with the delivery.
Yeah, man, I didn't like any of it. I guess it was one last effort to push this match, but I don't think they needed anything else. If you read those rules off to any normal fan, they'd be like, what the hell am I watching? This isn't the NWA. You're kind of getting a little bit out of the hand. I was listening to the rules and I'm like, man, what is going on here? But they did well with what they were given, and that's about all I can say about it.
Well, this isn't the NWA, or this isn't Dusty Rhodes booking, because we followed Dusty Rhodes booking for, over 4 years. So it was commonplace. We were trained to believe this is what the NWA is. Now, Dusty Rhodes isn't here, and neither is George Scott, so we actually have angles. So even though it's a booking committee, I have to give these guys credit that they're at least taking some shit and throwing it against the wall and see what sticks. Not everything's going to stick, ever. In the WWF, in the NWA, anywhere. So the idea, not great. But I give them A for effort in trying to put something out there. And I do also agree with you that they didn't need to do this. This match was already sold. This really didn't need anything else. And I 100% agree with you there. But they did do it. And it's like I said, idea, the match itself, ludicrous. Just ridiculous. Whoever came up with that idea for the delivery, that was genius. Because that was the only way you were going to get out of that without it looking absolutely stupid. So I do give him credit for that.
I think the idea could work if you was trying to build somebody up. kind of like the the $1,000 challenge type deal where you just have like a badass dude that comes in and sits on this chair and like try to knock me off it, and he gets the best of him, and then you can kind of turn it into something. But they kind of threw the idea away just by doing this segment just so they can get an angle in. That's what it felt like. So I mean, I think if it was done properly, you could do something with it, but they should have done something different. Maybe an arm wrestling challenge or something could have worked better for these two with how big they are and the size and stuff like that. And that way you're not wasting a new idea that you thought of, and maybe give you another week or two to think about a way to develop this idea that you came up with instead of just throwing it out there.
No, and I'll agree with you there as well. The placement of this particular angle or match, it really didn't need to fall in line here with this particular feud, so that also hindered it quite a bit. And we move straight out of the designated hitter match into a Road Warriors promo with Paul Ellering. Very quick promo. Animal essentially threatens their lives, insinuating they'll never wrestle again after the pay-per-view. Says the Varsity Club cheated everything, but tomorrow they're still going to get back their World Tag Team titles. You know, sometimes you don't hit a home run. When you throw 20 things against the wall, not everything is going to stick. But I still like that they're thinking outside the box, trying something new. Not everything is going to work, and as hokey as the whole thing sounded as a match, the way it played out was probably not only the best way to do this, but the only way to do this and make it look like a decent angle. It was different. To me, this wasn't awful. It wasn't great either, but I'm okay with that. Chalk it up and move on. We've got a pay-per-view tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree with you there. We can move on.
And we will move on to a Ricky Steamboat promo. Now I bet you wish you hadn't moved on. He talks about Ric Flair playing mind games with the cockiness and inside Ric Flair's promos. It works on others, hence why Rick has been 5 times world champion, but Steamboat says it won't work on him. Steamer says he's ready for the title match, and he stays on commentary for the next match, which is actually Ric Flair in action. We get Ric Flair down there with Hiro Matsuda, so I guess Hiro's still lurking around a little bit anyway. Flair gets the win over Dwayne Bruce, the future Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker here. Gets the figure 4 on Dwayne Bruce and beats him just over 4 minutes. Again, like I said, Steamboat on commentary. Jim Ross puts over Steamboat and Flair's wrestling ability. He cites that they don't need to worry about posing or covering a bald spot. And that line came out of nowhere during commentary, like it was a memo that Ross had to make sure he got in. So JR continues to throw the backhanded jabs at the WWF. I don't know if this is his idea, Turner, or what. It adds nothing for me. Worry about your own product, which is starting to finally come along.
Yeah, I picked up on that comment too, and I guess they're just comparing champions, and I get it. You want your champion to come across as being better. At the end of the day, how are you going to sit there and criticize the WWF when they're making, $12 million off of WrestleMania 5 and have a huge buy rate, and you can barely top a 2.0 when they're popping like a 4 or 5 for WrestleMania? So it's just like, fix your product, get it to that level, and then you can come talking. And I know people rip Vince for thinking there's no other world besides his own, and I get it. But back in this time frame, it made perfect sense to just ignore him. Everybody knows who you're talking about when you talk about a bald guy posing. I mean, come on. So this was stupid. Put over your pay-per-view and put over your champion and put over your challenger. Don't worry about the competition.
And I'm sure just like in other podcasts now and just like in social media followers, a lot of people have their own little cliques and they back them. And whenever those people say things, whether they're positive or not, whether they're mean-spirited or whatnot, their backers support them and they applaud anything that they say. And I think that certainly you've had long-time NWA fans who got a kick out of that comment Ross made. And I'm sure there were people in the back that got a kick out of the comment that Ross made. And that's all fine and dandy. I'm not even necessarily against him doing things like that. It's just he's been doing it a lot lately, and it's become very noticeable, and it adds nothing to the show. My biggest issue with that was, this is your world title match. This is the final of the trilogy. Let's focus on that, not Hulk Hogan so much. If Ric Flair's out here in between angles, in between feuds, working a job guy, and you've got nothing else to say, and you want to point out that he's a better wrestler than Hulk Hogan, have at it. There's no reason for it here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the part that bothered me is, like I said, Steamboat's on commentary, Flair's in the ring. You have a pay-per-view tomorrow that you need to get buy rates for, and they're all impulse buys, so you got to hit a home run, and he's worried about the competition. I mean, that tells you everything you need to know about whoever was feeding in this memo. They weren't worried about their own stuff. They were worried about somebody else's stuff.
And we move on, and after weeks and weeks of cheating pretty much every babyface out of wins, Teddy Long was finally fired as a referee last week after he screwed the Junkyard Dog, of all people. And Long was fired last week, but he returns this week, and he's interviewed by Jim Ross. And let's hear what Teddy has to say.
Ladies and gentlemen, our television championship match will be coming up in just a few moments, but as many of you saw on our last week's program, Executive Vice President of the World Championship Wrestling Organization, Jim Herd, fired Teddy Long here last week. Now, I hate to hear that you're unemployed. I didn't lose any sleep over it, but be that as it may, you've asked for some time and we're going to give it to you.
Listen, Jim Ross, let me say one thing right now. First of all, you're getting this interview started out wrong, okay? I'm a professional and you're a professional. So you're Mr. Ross to me, and I'd better be Mr. Long to you.
Okay. All right, I'll go along with it, Mr. Long.
Now, I am out here to protest the decision of Jim Herd and the National Wrestling Alliance. Now, why was I fired? I haven't broken any rules. I haven't done anything.
The reason you were fired, let me see, does the word incompetence come to mind? Does the word someone that doesn't abide the rules come to mind? How about the fastest count in wrestling? Does that come to mind?
Are you trying to question my ability as a referee or as I was a former referee? But as you can recall, Jim Ross, Rick Steiner would not be the world television champion today if it had not been for me. Who was the referee of that match?
Well, Rick Steiner's not the television champion today. Sting is. He's going to wrestle in a few moments.
Well,
what about Chicago? You going to talk about your one good call with the Ricky Steamboat match to keep your job?
That's exactly right. Ricky Steamboat would not be world heavyweight champion today if it had not been for me. What about my family? How am I going to feed my kid and my wife now that I'm out of a job?
Well, you should have thought about that when you were fast counting everybody down. What are you trying to allude to? You been framed or something?
That's exactly right. I've been framed by Jim Herd and the National Wrestling Alliance for no reason at all. I haven't done anything.
It sounds like sour grapes to me. I think you've almost run out of time here.
Hey, listen, I've got one thing to say, okay? You're going to be sorry. Jim Herd, the National Wrestling Alliance is going to be sorry. And most of all these people out here that called in and stooped on me and booed me, they're going to be sorry too. You understand that?
All right, that's enough from Teddy Long. Fans, let's go back up to Rhubarb Jones.
And Teddy Long coming out there rocking a shitty-looking tuxedo. Clearly, Ted Turner doesn't splurge for costumes. Long wants to know why he's been fired. He's asking Jim Ross. I guess that's his excuse to come out there and cut a promo. I'm also wondering who's giving this guy promo time when he just got fired from the company. But Jim talks to Long about the bad calls lately he's been making. Long points out he decided the Steamboat's victory over Flair. He decided Rick Steiner's TV title victory going back a few months. So he's done good as well. He says he's fired for no good reason. He claims that he was framed, and he tells the NWA that they're going to be sorry. What'd you make of this segment?
I'm going to preface this by saying, in the Observer, Dave Meltzer was talking about Teddy Long becoming a manager and that everybody had high hopes for him. And he's basically going to do everything better than what the Slick was doing in WWF. I mean, of course, Meltzer is a fanboy for 1989 or the NWA in general back in the 80s. I get it. Teddy Long completely butchered this promo. He said Rick Steiner's the TV champion right now. Ross had to correct him. Ross was saying, what are you trying to say? You're framed? Or are you going to talk about the Chi-Town Rumble where you made the right call there? So clearly, like you stated last week, Ross knew the angle that they were trying to get to. And he was basically feeding him lines this whole promo. And to me, like, that just takes away from him. The first time I heard it, I didn't really pick up on all of it. I just picked up on the miscues of Teddy Long. But listening to it there, you can clearly tell Jim Ross is just leading him along to where he needs to go. And I thought it just fell flat. Like, I've already lost interest in Teddy Long. I didn't like it.
Wow.
I thought he did terrible in this spot.
I'm going to do a 180 on you here, man. I'm going to say the exact opposite of everything you just said. I thought this was an amazing promo. I was in awe, and I didn't even care for Teddy Long promos, but I was in awe for the first time this guy ever goes on TV and cuts a promo in his life, a heel promo, mind you, not a referee promo, that he was able to do it with such confidence. And while Ross did lead, Ross led a lot of guys that have been in the business a lot longer than Teddy Long. So looking at it with him being a rookie as far as a character goes, I thought this was tremendous. I thought he did a great job. It got him over with me more than he was over with me with the heel turn. It worked for me. I mean, and I know everything works different for everyone, but yeah, I liked it from beginning to end. I loved the way he came out there with confidence. I love that he wasn't stuttering. I love that he already knew his character. And you'll notice too, when he comes down to ringside, I don't want to spoil too much, but when he comes down to ringside scouting at the pay-per-view, obviously we won't have the sound on, but I encourage people to go check it out. He gets quite a loud response, a louder ovation than one of the matches he actually comes down and scouts. So he's over with the people too, to some degree, or at least some of the fans. But yeah, I was really shocked. The reason I grabbed this promo, because you said you had asked me a couple days ago, did I grab this promo for a soundbite? I thought you were thinking the same thing I was thinking. So I go, yeah, man, I guess the only thing I grabbed from this show. And I grabbed it for obviously the opposite reason that you wanted me to grab it. You thought it was terrible, and I thought it was amazing. I thought it was really great. I mean, it wasn't going to sell any tickets, but I really enjoyed listening or watching him perform without having any hesitations, any stuttering, any lack of confidence. He just came out there and he did it. And this was the first time ever. So I thought it was a job well done, personally. That's my take anyway. We'll see where we go from here with Teddy Long, though. Next match, we see TV champion Sting taking on Rip Morgan with the Iron Sheik in his corner. I guess you could call this a rematch from Clash 6. I wouldn't, but it is. The most common sense booking you can do. Feed the Sheik's minion to Sting just prior to the match with the Sheik at the pay-per-view. We see a Stinger splash. He goes for the Scorpion. Sheik distracts, lets Rip Morgan take back over, nails Sting with a knee. Then there's all sorts of miscommunication going on. Morgan completely screws up an O'Connor roll, worse than I've ever seen anyone screw it up, to the point where Sting can't even reverse it. He just has to roll over and cover Rip Morgan out of a failed attempt at a O'Connor roll, and Sting gets the win in a very sloppy and pretty crappy match. Match goes just over 5 minutes. This was not good.
Yeah, this was terrible. They missed a spot too where Sting just kind of ran into Morgan instead of doing like a clothesline or something. They just kind of ran into each other early on in the match. This did Sting no favors at all. Sheik can barely move, and you're in here with Morgan, who has looked better in tag matches, and he puts on a match this terrible. I hate to see how bad the Sheik's going to be at the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I mean, Vince would have never let this thing air. Post-match, the Iron Sheik joins Rip Morgan in an attack on Sting. Sheik puts Sting in the camel clutch. Rick Steiner makes the save. And even though Sting hasn't returned to the First Family from his time in the UWF, we've seen a lot of Sting and Rick Steiner together lately. We go into a promo with Cowboy Bob. Well, I'm sorry, he's not a cowboy here in the NWA. We go into a promo with Bob Orton and Gary Hart. Hart talks, he briefly talks real quickly in the middle of the promo about the Muda and Junkyard Dog match in passing, just to get it out there. So I thought that was kind of clever of him to sneak in his other match as well. But this promo is about Gary vowing revenge for the shenanigans Murdoch pulled last week when Dickie attacked both of them with the bull rope. Gary threatens to take care of Jim Ross too if he played any part in the setup. Orton starts off innocently enough, saying he's going to do a Mexican tap dance on Murdoch's head, noting how Dick likes to cross the border and go drink, which was actually a thing back in the territory days and possibly even still a thing for Dick here. I think it was the Amarillo territory where they had a hangout just across the border and they loved to frequent back in the day. Gary goes on, he sees the opening because Orton mentions a Mexican tap dance, so even though it should be a hat dance, but Gary sees the opening. And Hart continues with the racial crap by pointing out he claims Murdoch's wife's a Mexican too or whatever. And I'm not sure what type of response that was supposed to elicit. And I don't even know that it was true. So it's just really weird. But Orton continues to steer away from the racial crap and he stays focused on just proving he's the better guy. Says he's the better man than Murdoch. This feud has been very one-sided in the favor of Orton, other than that last routine by Murdoch last week. So I hope Murdoch wins here at the pay-per-view, or this proves to be a bad feud all around for Dick.
Yeah, I have no idea what Gary Hart's going for there. I have no idea what Dick Murdoch's wife was or who she was or what, but that's not the point. Nobody cares. That's just stupid shit Gary Hart throws in there. All in all, it's a decent promo by Bob Orton. I thought it was really good. At least he's professional and stays away from the stupid stuff that Gary Hart was doing. He tries to avoid it. They did a really good job building this feud up, and I'm excited to watch the match, to be honest with you.
Up next, it's the debut of the Dynamic Dudes. But first, we get a highlight video of the dudes doing random things to the tune of Iko Iko, the old Giacomo New Orleans song there. On the WWE Network, it's obviously generic music. I don't think it really matters either way because we go to action with the Dynamic Dudes who are already standing in the ring getting ready to take on George South and the Raider. They have no entrance or skateboards as of yet. They even get cheers from the fans, so they clearly don't know who the Dynamic Dudes are yet. Individually, Shane is he's been really good here in '89. Johnny is okay. He go on to do a lot in All Japan, but collectively, they've been forced a gimmick that neither guy can resonate with, and it comes off very forced. They try to do their best Rockers impersonation here. A lot of double teams, but since this is like the first time they've ever even teamed, it doesn't work out so well. So they're a little off on the double teams. They even do a double punch to knock the Raider off the apron during the finish, which in and of itself felt heelish to me, but just a lot of bad timing. But they're trying, and I'm not going to fault them here. It was the first time they'd ever teamed up, and it wasn't the worst thing I'd ever seen. Their finisher is another issue. They do a double back suplex, but they bounce the guy off the top rope first, so it's a slingshot double back suplex. And when the job guy lands on the ropes, it kills all the momentum, and they basically have to deadlift the guy off the top rope to follow through with the suplex. I wish they'd come up with something different, but they'll continue to use this move, and Ace gets the win here over George South. Match only goes 2.5 minutes. It really felt forced, all the double teaming in here, and the timing was off quite a bit.
Yeah, it looked a little rough. My notes here is like, it sucks they got stuck with a gimmick like this. They could have something different. I think these two could have worked well together and gotten over, but this just wasn't going to work. We've already seen it with the Rockers, the Rock and Roll Express, even the Midnight Express to a degree. I mean, there's a lot of tag teams that they were trying to imitate here, and it's already been done, so they should have had something different. I think a couple of arrogant guys with, the bleached blonde hair, clean cut, looking good, a heel gimmick would have worked really well for them. And I think they would have excelled at that. But I get what they were trying to go for. It's 89. It was the neon, the year of the neon, the decade of the neon and things like that. So I get it, but it just didn't work. And I felt bad for the guys because I thought they could have done something really good if they had a better gimmick to start with.
Yeah, and I always looked at the skateboard and the blonde hair, kind of like the Bart Simpson thing as well. Yeah, it just didn't work, but I try not to blame the guys as hard as it is. They were handed that gimmick. They were basically told, this is what you're going to do if you want to have a job, and so they stuck with it. So at the end of the day, as much as I hated the Dynamic Dudes, I try my best not to blame Shane or Johnny. As hard as it is to do.
I'm with you, man. And I like Shane. Not so much Johnny, but I love Shane, and this is a bad hand to be dealt.
We close the show with a highlight music video of the feud between Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair. If you got the live version, it's Europe's Final Countdown. An amazing video. However, the WWE Network edits out all of the Europe video spots, and maybe more, and leaves some of the video clips of the matches set to generic theme, kills the entire thing for me. If you've never seen this video, the real video, the Final Countdown video, do yourselves a favor and go find this on YouTube or Daily Motion or whatever. It's the Final Countdown music video for WrestleWar with Flair and Steamboat. Up until this point in 1989, this was hands down the best wrestling music video ever put together, in my opinion. And that covers a lot of ground with all the Memphis music videos and Joel Watts' videos in Mid-South, all the Rock and Roll Express stuff, the Fabs, the Fantastics, Terry Taylor, and down the line. But this blew me away. This would be like if the WWF had production or had produced it. It gets you so psyched up for the pay-per-view, and more specifically, that world title match. It's the Final Countdown. I absolutely loved this video when it came out. Still do. Gave me goosebumps, got me so excited for the pay-per-view watching this video.
Yeah, I legit got goosebumps as soon as the music kicked on. And then just watching with Flair cutting the promo on top of the beginning of the Europe song, it's just chilling. And it fits perfect for this feud. It was very basic. It was very 1989 as far as like the cuts and the overlays and things that they did during the video. Right. So, I mean, if you look at it in the prism of 2020, it's probably going to be like one of the worst videos you ever see. But for 1989, this was a typical music video that you would see on MTV. It was goosebumps, and it was perfect. And this is how the show ended. And if that was the last thing I seen, if I just flipped through the channels and I saw that video start and I sat there for the 5 minutes that it took to get through it, I would be pumped as hell and ready to buy the pay-per-view just based off of that video alone. That would have sold me on the pay-per-view, 100%. Yeah.
And I'm not even sure if they even show the countdown clips in the WWE Network version, because once I saw what they had done to the video, I stopped watching the video because I went back and watched the live version. Obviously, they clipped the story to hell, the music video, the story they're telling in the music video to hell. So I'm not sure what made the cut and what didn't. I do know that I think it goes at max. The WWE Network version goes maybe 2 minutes, whereas the real song's like 5-6 minutes. So major difference there, but I digress. My final thoughts here before we go into the main event is I'm not going to point out all the issues here, or at least I won't dwell on them just yet, which is some of these guys still don't belong in their current positions on the show. They might be too green, they might be past their primes, but I will mention how excited I am to see everything they're doing right. You can't fix the entire issue, all the issues overnight, but they sure as hell fixed a shit ton. A lot of things are trending in the right direction. A lot of things already are in the right direction. There's always going to be some kinks in the armor. When your biggest flaw is you might need to change out some of your mid-card talent, you're doing a pretty damn good job. That's my only negative takeaway right now. That and the multiple promised main events on Saturday night that lead to 3 and 4 minute non-finishes. I don't mind that here and there, but not every week. So hopefully that improves a little, but otherwise, damn good stuff.
I agree 100%. I know we tend to do it a lot, but there's really nothing negative you can harp on too bad. I mean, it's just minor things. And, you got dudes making a shit ton of money like JYD and Sheik that you really can't get out from under. So you need to at least use them to get some of your money back out of it. So I get why some of those guys are still around. But once those guys move out and some newer guys come in, they're going to be in a really good position to excel. And I'm looking forward to it. I can't believe we're almost halfway through the year. It's pretty crazy.
And we move into the NWA main event for the weekend of May 6th. This is our final TV show before the WrestleWar. We kick things off with Paulie and Jim Ross having some conversation, some witty banter. Paulie kills it here for me. A lot of comical lines. He does his best Bobby Heenan. He's not trying to be Bobby Heenan, don't get me wrong, but this is the NWA, so that's how people look at it. That's how Dave Meltzer certainly looked at it. I thought Paul did a great job all on his own. Always a fantastic talker. I grabbed a couple of sound bites here of Paul and Jim Ross throughout the show, and this is the first one. It's the beginning of the show. They're discussing Paulie's new car. He has a Ferrari by brand anyway. It's not a Ferrari that we would all know, though, and Ross makes fun of him, and Paulie goes off on a banter, and here's that clip.
That's not a Ferrari. Fast driver, but I don't want to take a plane. You could do a lot with a Nova. That's not a Ferrari.
It's a Ferrari.
It's got a Ferrari logo on it. But it's a Nova body.
22 wrestling announcers in professional wrestling. I wind up with Don Rickles.
Fans, we do want to encourage you that if you cannot be with us... Who?
Lance Russell.
He's already up there in Nashville. This Saturday night, we're going to be at the Hickory Hollow Mall.
He doesn't wear orange ties either.
Well, I wore this tie because, again, it's in commemoration of the volunteer state. The Tennessee Volunteers football colors are orange. I thought it would be appropriate. And if you can't be with us in Nashville, we hope that
you can.
If
we went to Alabama, what would you wear, a goat?
No, I'd wear a red tie, the Crimson Tide. A goat. Alabama. What does that mean? A goat color?
I got you with that one, didn't I, huh?
That's very coherent.
Yeah, see?
Very coherent.
Lance Russell wouldn't have laughed. Lance Russell would have kept his composure on the air.
Fans, remember to call your local
Lance Russell.
Cable company.
I miss David Crockett hanging out with you.
And for program availability.
He'd go in my Ferrari
I could probably arrange for you to be working with David Crockett if you'd like. He's up in Nashville, too. David will be at the mall tonight, or this Saturday night. Lance Russell's going to be at the Hickory Hollow Mall this Saturday night.
You'd like that one.
But Paul won't be, so we can count on a big shopping day at the Hickory Hollow Mall, and we'll be back with our first event in a moment.
Come on, it's a nice Ferrari.
So 2 things here. First, I'll address the actual conversation they're having there. I just enjoyed it. It says 22 announcers in wrestling. I end up with Don Rickles. The Alabama GOAT line was great. The fact that they name dropped David Crockett, I love this whole little banter here.
Yeah, this one was fun. I enjoyed this one in particular, but by the end of this show, I'm kind of tired of it.
And another note I wanted to make is they hard sell this Hickory Hollow Mall autograph signing and big party type event here. It's a mall in Nashville, and they're having this big event here on May 6th. They're doing it to go up against the WWF, who is running the same building on May 6th that the NWA is running the following day for their pay-per-view on May 7th in order to screw them out of ticket sales. And not only that, the WWF actually stretched out the card so that it didn't end till after 11:30 p.m. so that the NWA wouldn't have time to set up WrestleWar the night before. Just completely screwing WrestleWar up, or attempting to screw WrestleWar up. It's just Vince playing more games. And that's basically their counteract. What's that?
I was just going to say Vince did that all the time. He would run the night before and go long. That way fans wouldn't want to go to the show the next night. I was out till midnight last night. I don't want to go again. Typical Vince, like you said.
Yeah, and that was the NWA's answer was, and I give them credit for trying to come up with something. It was clever to try to come up with something to go take a bunch of your talent, send them to the mall for autograph signings and meet and greets or whatever you want to call it. I thought that was a really good job. And according to, some of the information I've gotten, it did draw a few thousand people, so it worked to some degree. Yeah,
all it takes is a little effort and some promotion on TV and voila. You know, it's amazing what happens when you put in a little effort.
We get a match from center stage next. It's Butch Reed taking on Trent Knight. Butch has Hiro Matsuda in his corner here, even though Hiro hasn't been in his corner in a while. A lot of things happened in this match that made me question when this was actually recorded, but Jim Ross actually calls him a natural athlete here, and he stressed natural, so you see where he was going with that. Butch does a middle rope clothesline in the match and then pulls Trent up from the cover to land a pile driver and get the win here in about 3 minutes, 40 seconds. I thought it was odd he didn't deliver his flying shoulder tackle. Ross says he likes the pile driver. He wonders I'm wondering if Butch Reed is changing his finisher here now that George Scott is gone, because Scott seemed to have banned the pile driver, the brain buster, but we've already seen Orton use the pile driver now last week. We've seen Butch Reed use it here. Maybe Murdoch will go back to using the brain buster, because every time he goes to do it, it's just a tease. He never actually ends up hitting it. Instead of dropping those elbows for Dusty Baby, if you know what I'm talking about, right there. Into a commercial and back, we get another Paulie and Jim Ross segment. This is the other one I recorded, so I'll play that for you guys, and then we'll finish out the show.
Welcome back, fans, to the NWA Main Event. Still to come, Rip Morgan to take on Ron Simmons, a former Florida State football All-American. And also the television championship. The Stinger will be challenged by the 6'8", 300-pound dangerous Dan Spivey. What are you doing?
Practicing.
On what?
For the dynamic dudes.
Johnny and Shane.
Oh, Johnny.
Can you skateboard? You ever skateboard? We didn't have skateboards in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I can skateboard. I'm very good at it. Yeah,
are you?
Very good at it.
We'll have a contest. We'll give Lance Russell to judge and David Crockett there at the Hickory Hollow Mall getting ready for us this Saturday night.
I won't be able to be there.
Oh, you won't?
No, my skateboard's in my Ferrari. I won't make it in time.
Driving the Nova this week again.
It's not a Nova, it's a Ferrari.
You know, we want to talk to you fans and remind them that, have you been in the Municipal Auditorium in Nashville before?
Yeah, I have.
You know
I can even say it without stuttering.
You know what Nashville is also famous for?
Yeah, I won't say it on
Vanderbilt University.
Oh, big deal.
That's a very prestigious
I went to
college.
Princeton. That's a prestigious college.
Vanderbilt's a great place. The Commodores.
Lionel Richie.
No. That's the basketball team. Commodores, the football team, Vanderbilt.
I played polo at Princeton.
Vandy. Well, I'm sure there'll be some students from Vanderbilt at our event this Sunday afternoon. Really? I thought you were a track man, a javelin catcher. No. Well, I want to tell you, if you can't be with us in the Municipal Auditorium,
on TV?
No, I want to tell the fans, if you can't be with us in Nashville, that you can see this event by calling your local cable company for program availability. You can see Paul E. Dangersy live as it happens in the comfort of your own home by calling your local cable company.
Imagine me in your living room, huh? Imagine me right there. Right next to you, right next to your beer, right next to your big gut, right next to your pretzel.
Hear those sets tune out? They've just tuned to the Weather Channel. How about listen to CNN or something now? Can you imagine me in your living room?
No, I can't imagine you in my living room.
Well, good.
You could have been in my Ferrari.
It won't happen. I don't ride in Novas with Ferrari.
It's a Ferrari!
Yeah, I like Paulie in that particular clip. Just Ross says something stuttering, asks Paulie if he can say it. He goes, yeah, I can say it without stuttering, too. I thought it was fun, so I grabbed another clip here. Up next is Joe Pedicino Knows. He hypes the Junkyard Dog and Muda match, as well as the Oak Ridge Boys. These are things you won't see on the WWE Network version of the WrestleWar pay-per-view. We move on to Ron Simmons taking on Rip Morgan here. This is from the Omni, joined in progress from the April 9th Omni show, actually. Nick Patrick, referee. Jim Ross on commentary says Ron seems to have an identity crisis. He's searching for a niche. Points out Ron's aggressive style. Says Simmons reminds him of Butch Reed, given their backgrounds. I thought that was interesting that Ron Simmons reminded him of Butch Reed. Ron hits a flying shoulder block from the middle rope, but Morgan gets his foot on the ropes, so the referee stops the count. We turn things around. Ron Simmons hits a football tackle, sends Morgan to the apron. Then Morgan catches Simmons with a knee, slides in, covers Ron Simmons for the pin. Morgan uses the ropes now again, this time to pin Ron Simmons. The referee completely misses it. Ron Simmons gets screwed. Rip Morgan pins Ron Simmons in about 6 minutes. I thought this was pretty clever booking-wise, furthering Ron's turn to the dark side since he can't get a fair shake. I was a bit shocked at first here that, of all people, Rip Morgan got the pin on Ron Simmons, but I get the story they were trying to tell. Playing nice just doesn't get the job done for Ron, which is leading to his potential heel turn. And you asked me on the last episode that we recorded, who was calling the pay-per-view WrestleWars? And I figured it out, not just here, but actually on the countdown to the pay-per-view when I skimmed through the live version of the pay-per-view. It's Jim Ross. Jim Ross refers to it as WrestleWars with an S, plural, here, right, during this episode and during this Ron Simmons segment. He also refers to it as WrestleWars during the countdown of the actual pay-per-view for anyone who has the live version. So if anybody cared, it was Jim Ross that was calling the pay-per-view WrestleWars at one point.
Yeah, I put that down in my notes because I remember him picking up saying that after right when the match started. Question answered.
We go to an extended segment back in the studio with Paul E. and Jim Ross. They run down the entire pay-per-view. There's some fun lines there about Missy Hyatt. Jim Ross says there's two things Missy has that impress him. Obviously, we know what he's hinting at. He winds up naming, some other fun...
Integrity and wrestling knowledge.
Is that what it was?
That impress Jim Ross about Missy Hyatt.
I thought it was her Hooters and her Hooters.
I'm sure that's what everybody was thinking as soon as Ross said that. But yeah, he said it was her integrity and wrestling knowledge. And that's true from everything I've heard. She knows a lot about the business and wasn't just somebody in there making a check. So that's cool. Yeah,
looks and brains. She had it going. And we'll close the show with Sting taking on Dan Spivey, TV champion Sting against Dan Spivey. This is also from the April 9th Omni card. Back and forth match. Spivey gets in most of his big stuff, the side slam, all that good stuff, and unfortunately also the bear hug. As the match goes on, Sting misses a sloppy missile dropkick. Actually, he connects with the sloppy missile dropkick, which is probably why it looks sloppy, but I'm assuming Spivey was supposed to move because Spivey doesn't even sell it whatsoever. So Sting takes the bump, and Spivey picks him up for a body slam, and Sting counters into an inside cradle. Sting gets the win in 14 minutes, 15 seconds. This went way longer than I had expected.
This match sucked. There's a lot of rest holds, a lot of a test of strength at the start, and then headlocks by Sting. They'd give you maybe 30 to 40 seconds of offense, and then we get another rest hold bear hug. Spivey was really struggling here. He was winded, and I think his injuries is probably an off night for him as far as injuries go. So he just looked gassed, and he still had maybe 3 or 4 minutes left by the time I noticed that he was pretty worn out. It was just, it wasn't a good match. It should have been 5 or 7 minutes shorter. And I felt like these last 2 matches back to back were really boring and something that I wouldn't have stuck around to finish watching if I was a fan back then watching. So I don't think they did a good enough job to get that last ditch effort in for the pay-per-view. This show wasn't very good at all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think if you're watching the main event, then you're somebody who watches the main event. You're probably likely not going to tune out since you're making it a habit to get on, turn it on TBS and watch it in the evening on a weekend. So that's my thought with that. Main event didn't always have the greatest matches of the weekend, obviously. I agree with you. These matches weren't very good. It wasn't a very good show, but this show was just made to fill time and in between use the Ross and Dangerously segments to build up the pay-per-view, and that's what it did here. The matches were afterthoughts. Wrestling were completely different TV selling pay-per-views back then than it does now. Everybody craps on the WWE now if their go-home show, which that's not what it was back then, but their go-home show to the pay-per-view isn't like a crazy hard sell for the pay-per-view. Makes sense. I get it. You sell the shit out of that pay-per-view and get those buys or get those fans in the seats or do whatever you got to do to get as many people you can watch the show. Back then, we usually received the most lackluster card because it was just whatever was left over from shows that didn't really that were from the cutting floor or whatever, because all you were really doing was trying to sell the pay-per-view with your in-between segments. It sounds silly, but you weren't going to see a Ric Flair angle or a Varsity Club angle on the show heading into the pay-per-view because everything had already been done. This was basically main event typically was an afterthought heading into the pay-per-views. Yeah. They sold the pay-per-views, and that's really all they were there for. You did typically find the crappiest matches on the main events heading into the pay-per-views, and that was the case here as well.
They've been doing a great job of showing a bunch of highlights and things like that throughout their shows, so I think it's show filled with, Dangerously and Ross going back and forth with a bunch of highlight clips and pushing each individual match would have been more effective. It's definitely a different time for wrestling back then compared to, even what we see maybe a year or two later, where, they have big specials and things like that to push their product. I think it actually starts at the end of '89 with the Survivor Series Showdown for WWF. Those type of shows really do wonders. They work wonders and they get you excited. So that's how I look at it. And this show is kind of boring. And I'm like, man, they came off so great with the Final Countdown. And then this show is man, kind of rough. But like you said, most people just tune in this show by habit, not because they're channel surfing. So
yeah, I mean, I always looked at the Saturday night program as the go-home show to the pay-per-views anyway. I truly did. This was always just a little bonus, a little extra. And we'll close up this episode of the main event. Paulie and Jim Ross standing there closing the show. One final hard sell for the pay-per-view, which we're about to do in a watch-along. Paulie kills me here again. He just for absolutely no reason, just starts making fun of Joe Pedicino. He says, don't let him sit near the fire exit. He's a fire hazard. Paulie starts stretching his hands out like he's mocking Joe's girth. He starts walking around like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, just kind of waddling, and he walks into the wall and he starts shouting, I'm stuck. I'm stuck. And I'm sorry, man, but I just had to bust out laughing. And I would have grabbed a clip of that as well, but that's more of a video than an audio thing. Like it has to be seen to really be appreciated. And that's pretty much how we end the main event as we go into our WrestleWar watch along.
I'm as ready as I'll ever be. I've been ready for this show for a couple weeks now. So let's go.
And now it's time for the watch-along portion of our show. As always, I'll give everyone a minute or two to queue up their WWE Network version of WrestleWar 89. In fact, while you guys do that, I'll go ahead and play the original pay-per-view lineup from the live pre-show countdown for your enjoyment. And you'll notice a couple Easter eggs in there, and I'll make mention of those on the other side of the soundbite. And don't worry, we'll count you down to the live pay-per-view when we get back. Until then, enjoy.
Here's another look at the complete lineup of the Music City Showdown. Ranger Ross will take on Hacksaw Butch Reed. The Junkyard Dog will meet the Great Muta. The New Generation will take on the Samoan SWAT team. In a bull rope match, Dick Murdoch will meet Bob Orton. For the United States Tag Team Championship, Hair versus Hair, Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert and Rick Steiner will take on Coach Kevin Sullivan and Dangerous Dan Spivey. And either Sullivan or Gilbert will leave the ring with their head completely shaved. Plus, the television championship will be on the line. The Stinger takes on the Iron Sheik. The World Tag Team titles will be on the line when Mike Rotunda and Dr. Death Steve Williams meet the Road Warriors with Nikita Koloff as the special referee. Freebird Michael Hayes will attempt to win his first major singles championship as he goes against the total package Lex Luger for the United States heavyweight title. And then the final showdown. They say this could be Flair's last chance at the gold. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat will meet the Nature Boy for the World's Heavyweight Championship. One fall with a 60-minute time limit. There must be a winner. And 3 former NWA World Champions will be judges at ringside. So fans, there you hear it. It's going to be a tremendous afternoon of excitement. We certainly hope that you will plan now on joining us as we will be broadcasting live from Nashville. Call this cable company. Make your plans now and join us as we broadcast live from Nashville, the Music City Showdown, WrestleWars 89.
WrestleWars 89. All right, and I just wanted to point out a couple Easter eggs in there. First, you notice they're still selling the Eddie Gilbert, the U.S. Tag Team title match as a hair versus hair match. I don't know when this was recorded, but it was recorded before the Dudes even debuted, because if you paid attention, Jim Ross announces that the SST are going to be taking on the New Generation, which is what Dave Meltzer reported the Dynamic Dudes were originally going to be brought in and as their tag team name. So thought that was kind of cool. The only reason I really grabbed that was for those reasons. Kind of just some proof that some other things did exist at one point. Some other ideas existed.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I thought they did a bad job of hyping up Nikita Koloff. Like, I don't remember hearing his name at all throughout the shows, and then they just showed him they announced it on the pre-show. I mean, they may have mentioned
there was
it,
that main event. There was the main event where they
Yeah.
mentioned it kind of in passing during the tag match on the main event. But other than that, yeah, there was just no fanfare to the announcement whatsoever. It's almost like they planned something and never got the promo they were expecting or something to put on the TV.
Interesting.
And Steve, do you hear that? You hear that there? I think I know what that means. Do you know what that means? It's time. It's time to announce the winner of the 1989 autographed Lex Luger promo pic. And all you had to do was follow us on Twitter to enter. And several of you did that. In fact, a lot of you did that. Followed us on Twitter at Rasslin Grenade. That's it, RASSLIN Grenade. And I know you've been waiting. You waited, and you waited with patience. And now it's finally here. The time has finally come. We pulled a name at random. We contacted that Twitter follower, and they confirmed they'd like the autographed picture as a prize, and they will be sent that prize. And we want to congratulate Tom from Phoenix. He appears to be a collector of many things, one of those being wrestling items. And congratulations to Tom. He's at Impact X-Men on Twitter. That's at Impact X-Men on Twitter. You have now won the Lex Luger promo pick, Tom. And stay tuned, everyone, for details on the next free prize giveaway at the end of the show. But congratulations once again to Tom from Phoenix. And remember, all you had to do was have an address and follow us on Twitter. It's that easy. So I encourage everyone to go out there and tell their friends to follow us so that we can continue to give away these free prizes in the future. And once again, congratulations are in order to Tom. Okay, and before we get going, I just want to mention, in previous watch-alongs, I've grabbed sound bites and played them over the top of shows. I grabbed them in advance and played them over top of shows, but this time we'll try something different. I'm going to do my best to play the actual audio of the feed we're watching to catch some of the promos and other fun things on the show. So we're going to try it that way this time. And are you ready, Steve?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be, man. I'm excited for this show.
And hopefully everyone else is ready by now as well. If you're not, you can always pause the show right here while you get your feed going. And hopefully everyone is queued up and ready to go with us now. And as we prepare to press play to watch the final match in the Flair versus Steamboat trilogy, the Road Warriors try to regain their tag team championship from the Varsity Club, and Steve's favorite Michael Hayes goes after Lex Luger's U.S. championship, and a whole lot more on the NWA's WrestleWar 89 Music City Showdown from Nashville. So let's get ready to count down, everybody. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, press play. And the show kicks off, running down the card. As we get going here, Steve, I'm just wondering, did you have a chance to watch the pay-per-view before? I know sometimes we like to watch some things before we actually cover them, so we kind of have a clue of what's going on. Did you have an opportunity to do that, or is this your first time in a long time?
Well, my network already had it started. Like, I was about one match in the last time I watched it, but no, I haven't gone through it. I like to be a little bit surprised and just kind of watch it in the moment, kind of relive. I've seen this show numerous times, but it's always cool to just relive it as if it's new. So, no notes.
We're here in the Municipal Auditorium in Nashville, Tennessee, and actually, as we mentioned earlier, Vince McMahon ran here the night prior to this WrestleWar show. He ran the show. He even made it go long. Ran it. I think it ran till about 11:30 p.m. just to screw with the NWA's pay-per-view. Just classic Vince, classic business decision there by Vince McMahon. And look who we have here. Look who we have here. Bob Caudle making his return to commentary on WrestleWar. It's not Magnum TA, but it's not Michael Hayes either. So I'll take Bob Caudle any day.
Oh, I'll take Caudle all day, every day, man. He's tremendous and very underrated.
And as the fans rise, I'm not listening to the Oak Ridge Boys, so I'll just shoot a few notes here to you guys. Looks like there's 5,200 fans here. I'm not sure who's paid and who's papered. I think the building held somewhere between 8,000 and 9,000. So not as terrible of a house as you might expect based on some of the things that were happening with thanks to George Scott, like the Clash of the Champions, which drew 4,200 fans. So definitely moving up in the world. Where they're not moving up in is buy rates. Let's go back to last summer. The Great American Bash 88 did a 2.2 buy rate, which equaled about 190,000 fans. We drop down at Starrcade 88 to a 1.8 and 150,000 fans. That was Dusty's last. Well, he booked going into that pay-per-view anyway. George Scott had his hand at Chi-Town Rumble. That again dropped again to 1.5 buy rate. That's 130,000 fans. And here we are with WrestleWar, which I know we have a new booking committee, but they can only do so much in so little time. And we've dropped again now down to a 1.3 buy rate and 120,000 fans. So we've dropped about 10,000 fans from Chi-Town Rumble to WrestleWar. It's honestly not as low as I was expecting, given the George Scott booking of the first 3 months of the year, 3 months of the year. So it could have been worse.
I think it's a credit to how well they actually booked the last month of TV. Like we've said numerous times, it was like a completely different show, tremendous change of pace, and angles are being shot, and I think it drew the fans in. So I was with you, man. I was expecting like a 1, maybe barely 100,000 people, but to pull in a 1.3 is pretty good, I think. And I think I've seen somebody wearing a Glory Days shirt already.
Yeah, looks like there might be somebody back there.
They showed somebody during the national anthem wearing a Glory Days shirt, so that's back. Whoever was doing that initially this year, they brought it back. That's pretty cool.
Jim Ross out here getting us ready for the opening match. I guess they're going to run down the card again here. Muda versus Junkyard Dog. I'll let the cat out of the bag right now. Dog didn't make the show. He no-showed. And there's a lot of rumors as to why. Jim Ross, when he covered WrestleWar in the past, hinted that a lot of those issues were likely substance abuse issues. I'm sure that played a major factor in them. Also, I didn't picture the Dog doing the job for Muda here, and I'm assuming they definitely wanted him to do it clean as well, and I don't know if that was going to go over well with Dog. So no matter the reasoning, he no-shows here, and I think this is the end of JYD until next year sometime. I'm not positive without looking ahead, but I'm pretty sure that's the end of JYD, and this is not the first time he did some no-showing for them since he's been back. Which is just unfortunate because to have found himself a job after getting canned from the WWF, you'd think he'd appreciate it a little more. But again, it goes back to, like JR said, Dog was a great, great guy, but he had some issues.
Yeah, it is sad. I mean, you get a payday, and they're clearly, paying for nothing, so to speak. I wouldn't be doing anything to even risk that, but I guess I think differently than some people.
We'll go up to ringside and listen to Gary Capetta introduce the opening match.
It is set for one fall with a 15-minute time limit. Introducing in the corner to my right, hailing from Lexington, Tennessee. He weighs 245 pounds, Doug Gilbert. Ladies and gentlemen, making his way toward the ring area, Gary Hart presents the Pearl of the Orient, weighing 238 pounds, the Great Muta!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Nick Patrick will be your official for this event. Indeed, it was originally scheduled to be the Junkyard Dog to meet the Great Muta, but due to circumstances beyond our control, the Junkyard Dog could not be with us here at WrestleWar.
And Doug Gilbert, actually the younger brother of Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, which is, I'm assuming, how he got booked so fast. Obviously, the Gilbert's from Tennessee. Doug Gilbert probably showed up at this show. Eddie Gilbert's on the booking committee now. You put two and two together and figure out how Doug got on the show.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I don't have a problem with it. You needed somebody to go out there and do a job. Obviously, it would have been more ideal if it had been somebody a little higher up, like the Dog, name value-wise. I'm sure this match flows a little better than the JYD would have done. I can't imagine Dog taking that first kick right there. He'd still be falling over. Muta with the mist in the air.
I'm assuming that he's going to use Dog to elevate Muta to that next level, and because he really hasn't had any opponents leading up to this.
Right.
So
just the handicap squashes, the basic squashes, the handicap squashes, yeah.
Kind of unfortunate for him. Probably slowed him down just a little bit, but Muta's so good that I don't think anything was going to slow him down except maybe Gary Hart.
Just getting him on TV, or just getting him on the pay-per-view. I don't even know if it mattered who he was working here. Just getting out his character on TV and his offense out there, the fan worldwide for pay-per-view like that. Doug Gilbert getting a little bit of heat there. Muta selling for him, taking a bump to the floor. I just got so pumped watching Muta and Gary Hart come in the ring. I don't know that anybody ever introduced the Muta better than Gary Capetta. I don't know if I ever want to hear anybody else introduce Muta other than Gary Capetta.
Yeah, Gary Capetta is awesome. I really enjoy his voice. He reminds me of Jimmy Lennon Jr., the boxing announcer, or Gary Lennon. Is it Jimmy? I think it's Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy Lennon, the original senior, was very, very famous, both in boxing and wrestling.
Yeah,
out in California.
Just as good. Yeah, his son's really good too.
There's that power drive elbow by Muta there. Just everything he does, so crisp and clean. Love being able to watch this with everyone. Just enjoy me some Muta with everyone at the same time. Here comes the handspring. Boom! Love that move. That was like my favorite move as a kid. Remember Bob Bradley? I think he worked, who did he work? Steamboat on that Clash 5. He used to do the backflip elbow slow motion in the corner. I always looked at that as like a tribute or a copycat of Muta. Bradley would always make sure he got those in the WWF squashes. Doug Gilbert here, he would have a pretty decent career in the USWA and in Memphis over the next decade or so. He hadn't quite achieved that success here by 1989, though.
Was he just coming in, or how long has he been in the business up to this point?
I'm not sure. He hadn't been in there very long. Muta looks like he's going for the moonsault here, and I saw Eddie Gilbert come out, and I go, is he coming out just as they go to the finish? But Gilbert rolls out of the way, and I'm not sure if Eddie came out. Everybody looks just slightly surprised. I'm wondering if this is an audible, Eddie called, just to get the match a little more heat. I don't know. I mean, he is a booker. I don't know if it's an audible or not. It may not be, because we do wind up seeing some Eddie Gilbert and Muta stuff here going into the summer. Not to spoil much. Backbreaker here. And he just seems like he comes out so late in the match that, I don't know, I just felt like maybe he came out to try to give his brother a little rub, try to get the match a little more heat. 1, 2, 3, moonsault ends it. Match is over in 3 minutes and 3 seconds. And now we get a different colored mist.
Seems like Doug got no reaction, even though he's from Tennessee, because like even when Capetta mentioned Lexington, Tennessee, the crowd didn't even pop. So
yeah, he hadn't been.
I wonder if Eddie saw that.
Yeah,
and decided to come down and try to get it some reaction for his brother there.
And that was just me thinking out loud. It seemed like Eddie can't. I felt like if Eddie was supposed to be out there, he would have been out there to start.
Yeah, same here.
So that's the only reason I came to that conclusion. But here we go with the plancha in slow motion.
This is a perfect opener. Quick.
This dude just gets up. Oh, yeah.
Couple things, and then Muta got all his offense in, his main moves, and we went home. No 15-minute boring snooze fest that could take up time later.
Oh, and I'll get to that. Well, I'll get to that on the other side of this promo with Ric Flair, what we have coming up right now. Let's go to that.
The moonsault off the top rope.
It's an unbelievable move, and in slow motion you get an even better look at it. Watch this. How high he gets into the air, and he nails it. It's right on the button.
No one in wrestling executes this move quite like the great Muta. Looking for bigger and better things. Championships have to be on the mind of Gary Hart. And speaking of championships, ladies and gentlemen, our colleague Lance Russell is standing by with the Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
Later today, Ric Flair will be going, as many people say, for the final time for the World Heavyweight title. For a man who's won it 5 times, Rick, how does this extra pressure affect you?
Well, what it tells me, Lance Russell, is today, I've got the style and profile like never before. Steamboat, let me go on record as telling the whole world you are the greatest wrestler on the face of this earth. But, pal, today, right here, you gotta beat Ric Flair one more time. Remember, Steamboat? And pal, I'll kiss your boots if you can do it. But to be the man, you gotta beat the man. And I'm saying, right here in Nashville, Tennessee, pal, I'm the man. Ric Flair and Steamboat, you're gonna be mine. Woo!
Let's go right now to the ring.
Another quick but good promo by Flair. I don't know what was going on there. I don't know if he was being counted down or what was going on, but he kept looking over to the left during that entire promo.
Yeah, I saw that too. Like he was like looking off somewhere, and I've never seen him do that. Usually he has glasses on, but it's kind of awkward. Flair's always in the zone, so I'm surprised he was doing that.
Yeah, I want to go back to that Muta match. It happened so fast. There was a couple things I wanted to touch on. I want to thank you for reminding me of one you pointed out. It wasn't a 15-minute drawn-out opener. It's funny we go from that unannounced Michael Hayes versus Russian Assassin 15, 16-minute opener of arm bars and nonsense that led to nothing. And then we come here and instead we're getting a 3-minute high-impact Muta squash. So completely changed company.
It's kind of weird Ross getting this kind of entrance when it's kind of been jobbed out on TV. I don't even think we've seen the last couple weeks either. So,
well, he started getting stuck in those Michael Hayes random tag team situations, and Speaking of Michael Hayes, he also laid Ranger Ross out before they could even have a match the one week with the DDT. So, yeah, he's been buried ever since the new booking regimes come along. Or maybe not buried, but certainly de-pushed quite a bit. And I got to ask, what cracker booked this? Like, what honky booked this requisite of African-American versus African-American match? Just, it's so lazy. And it's kind of curious that this match was even thrown in here. It just felt like it was forced onto the show in order to get at least Butch Reed on the show, because this is the only match on the entire show that wasn't mentioned prior to the pay-per-view, wasn't sold in a promo prior to the pay-per-view. It was just kind of announced, and here it is.
I'm interested to see how well Ranger Ross performs here.
Yeah, he's actually going to be
better.
Right. He's actually getting a chance to work a few minutes with another competitive wrestler rather than work a squash or work in these tag team type matches that he's been in lately.
Is that Brian Scott?
Yeah, Byron Scott. Yeah, he's still there. His father must have made sure to put him under a contract before he left. So maybe he'll ride that out.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's a good call, though. Ranger Ross randomly appears on this pay-per-view after really, I don't even know the last time he appeared on an episode of World Championship Wrestling.
I know they do this.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Do we have Hiro Matsuda at ringside anywhere, or is he completely gone from Butch Reed now at this point?
He came out by himself. So
okay.
I'm assuming Matsuda's gone.
Some basic fundamentals here. I see somebody smoking in the front row. Times have changed.
Oh, yeah. Well, I wonder if the booking committee is trying to, maybe they threw Ross on here to kind of elevate him a little bit and give him that entrance. Because I know they go to Class 7s at Fort Bragg. So, and Ross kind of was prominent in that. Like a lot of the vignettes and things inside, like in between matches and stuff were with him and things like that. So this makes me wonder if they was trying to do something, switch it up a little bit.
Yeah, if you didn't capitalize on something like that, you'd be just a complete fool. So very smart what they do with Ross and that clash you're talking about. But this is just the basic fundamentals clearly at this point. Really no heat in the crowd. Some nice mullets in the front row there. Butch Reed, Honky Tonk Man, get a little angry. Oh, there's Teddy Long ringside. Now he comes out, and what is that? An NWA visitor pass? It says visitor on it.
I think so. It says like war or something like that. Yeah.
WrestleWar, yeah. So he appears to be scouting talent now. And who the hell gives this guy a visitor's pass after firing him for being a crooked referee? Who says, sure, you can't be a referee, but come on in and have free reign on our show? Come on now.
Well, they did fire him as a referee. They didn't say he was fired from the NWA. So maybe this is his way of, you know what? If I can't be a ref, I'm going to figure out how to do something else.
I mean, how much a player?
Yeah, Matsuda had the same gimmick. He was just doing this with Michael Hayes. So they just turn around and run it back again. I mean, I guess you got to do something.
I'm already more interested in this than I ever was with the Hiro Matsuda Michael Hayes combination.
Is Tommy Edwards back? Because we're getting a lot of crowd shots.
Oh, you know what? He is still there. I think that it was reported in the Observer that Craig Leathers would be taking over, but when this pay-per-view ends on the network, you see the outro video or whatever you want to call it, but there's no credits. You see the pictures, you hear the music, but they've somehow managed to erase the credits from the ending video. If you watch the live version, all the credits are there, and Tommy Edwards' name does show up. I did notice that, actually.
Yeah, well, that explains all the crowd shots.
Butch Reed working that reverse chin lock with his foot on the bottom rope. I still don't get that, but it's one of his favorite things to do. And it wouldn't be a Butch Reed match without a chin lock.
I feel bad for Butch Reed, man. He's He's in it. Yeah, it's an NWA visitor pass. How did you get that?
That's what I said. Who the hell gave him that? How does one get that and just walk to ringside? I've never seen anybody else come to ringside with a visitor pass before. Ranger Ross right back down. Butch Reed just rocking that chin lock all day long.
Butch Reed, man, he's the veteran here, and he's been stuck with. I mean, I'm not saying Sting's bad, but he was still learning at this point, and now he has Ranger Ross. So
I think the big issue isn't even necessarily just Butch Reed's opponents. I think it's that they have nothing for him. I mean, he's been back now. We're going into month number 5 since he's been back, and he has yet to participate in any type of real program, get very much mic time at all. And not that Butch Reed was ever much of a promo guy, but I mean, you're not even getting him on TV. Giving him Hiro Matsuda as a manager sure wasn't the answer to getting him some more promo time.
Yeah, I think JJ leaving him really screwed him over.
Oh, that certainly hurt him on promo time. I have no doubt about that. And Reed, not really the greatest of offense either at this point in his career. He turned that around as part of Doom, but right now he's trying to shake the WWF mentality of grab a hold and hold on to that hold until the finish. Ross coming back now, doing his martial arts stuff, the back fist. Iron Sheik didn't even know how to move to sell that. Couple drop kicks here since Reed to the floor. And I'm going to guess Ross is, he loves to jump over the top rope, but never turns it into a move. Just always lands on his feet. Never understood that. If you got hops like that, I love that fucking shot right there. That foot to the head, that was so great. You don't really see that much, but Ross sticks his head in, and Butch Reed just kicks him right in the head, right in the dome.
Nice suplex there.
Reed going to the top. If he hits the shoulder block here, I mean, obviously it's over, but this is truly a squash finish. And that's what it looks like. Boom. At one point, Jim Ross called that the bomb. And Butch Reed with 1, 2, and 3. And this one's over. Butch Reed picks up the win in about 7 minutes there. 6 minutes of nothing, and then a hot last minute or so.
Yeah, that's a WWE Raw match. I think Ranger Ross, man, I'm with you, man. I really think that if he had time, he could have turned into something. He had something there. Like, he wasn't terrible at all.
There's replay of Reed going up top on him. Yeah, I think the idea of pushing Ross wasn't a bad one. It just he needed to develop, and then they gave up on him before they developed him. And that's unfortunate. I think we've got a Lex Luger promo coming up, so I know you want to hear that, so let's go to Lance Russell.
Championship, Lex Luger and Michael Hayes. Lance Russell is standing by with the total package.
Michael Hayes, Lex, has been known as unpredictable. He has said he is going to do this challenge for your title all by himself. Are you prepared, though, for all of the things that Hayes has done in the past?
Lance, this is what you call a showcase event. This is in front of millions of viewers. This is what makes you as a competitive athlete tick. Now, Michael Hayes has been running his mouth for a long time now. Now, Michael Hayes, it is put up or shut up time. You said you could do it on your own. You haven't shown me that. That's not your track record. Well, this is your opportunity in front of millions of viewers to show everybody that you got what it takes to win this U.S. Heavyweight Championship. And Michael Hayes, this means more to me than anything in this world. It means a lot to a lot of fans who I represent, who I feel I represent. And Michael Hayes, I don't think you got what it takes to take what I got. So Michael Hayes, bring on everything you got. Because I got the adrenaline flowing, my blood pumping. I'm going to walk out of that ring as a U.S. Heavyweight Champion.
Let's go right now to the ring.
Not a bad little promo from Luger there.
Definitely not. And
I guess this is a good time as any to catch everyone up on a timestamp, so I'll make sure everybody's following along right at the right time. We're at 22:58:59, 23 minutes into the show. Dick Murdoch in there. These guys are already in the ring awaiting their bull rope match. They've really been pushing this heavy on TV. not only just with angles every week on every program, but they're showing the hell out of the highlights of the feud as well. They're really trying to get this over as something, which I give them credit for. I don't expect a whole lot here, but I give them credit for really working hard to get this thing over.
Yeah, I think so too. I wonder if it's just because these guys are, at least Dick Murdoch and Gary Hart, are pretty decent talkers, so they can sell a feud without doing a lot and get some heat behind it, so people like them, and maybe they respect them, so they can do something with it. So I understand why they're really pushing it. Pretty cool. It's definitely a change of pace.
Yeah, and the rules here for this particular bull rope match, this is a pinfall bull rope match. So in order to win this one, it's just 1, 2, 3. None of that 4 corners nonsense in this one.
Yeah, that 4 corners one's pretty cool, like the first time, but once every finish is the same, it wears out its welcome.
And for anybody who hasn't been following along, what's wrong with you, for one, go back and check out all of our episodes prior to this of the Wrestling Memory Grenade. But for those who may be short-minded, this feud all started back at Clash 6 when Bob Orton had basically his second match in the company, and Gary Hart aided him in a win, tripped up Dick Murdoch, helped Bob Orton get the win, started the feud, started off hot. Hart and Orton from there continued to mock Murdoch, mock his father, who's passed away at this point. They kept getting the best of Murdoch every week. And then finally, the final week, Murdoch gets a little bit back. He has Jim Ross announce that there's a emergency phone call for Gary Hart. Gary Hart leaves the commentary to go to the backstage. Gary Hart comes tumbling back out through the curtain, and Murdoch comes out with the bull rope and starts beating on Hart with it, beating on Orton with it. So Murdoch gets a little bit of revenge going into this match finally.
Yeah, lots of angles. And they did it. They did a pretty good job of doing it all on the big show.
Nice
they
bump.
didn't really that was nice.
Nice bump by Orton there.
Smooth, man.
Yeah. Orton
He's
tries
really
his
smooth.
best. If you watch this match, Orton tries his best, and he does. Here we go again. Does his best to sell that he's stuck to this rope, and and he wants to get away. I'll give him that much. And if you look at this rope, this is not some. We just went to what was a big thing in the '80s, Forest City or Handy Andy or whatever might have been the big thing back then. But you can tell this rope's been laying around somewhere for a while. Like Dick Murdoch pulled this off his ranch or something.
Yeah, he probably did, or maybe Terry brought it in with him or something. that rope looks worn, and it's probably seen a few things. But yeah, this isn't your typical gimmick bull rope at all. It's looks like some legit leather there.
Yeah, and that's a legit cowbell too. And if people want to know the difference, there's about a inch thickness of difference in a worked cowbell, like the ones that you normally use in these matches, and a real one, which is the one Murdoch used on that episode of World Championship Wrestling. They're a lot thicker, and they can do some damage. And there's another lady shot. I think that one on the left's a lady. I think so. It's like a chick with a mullet, I guess. I've seen those before. That happens.
It's kind of like she's just there to bring her daughters or something.
I didn't even think she looked that old. I thought they were all the same age. So I don't know what's worse, me not knowing if she's a woman or not, or you calling her friggin' 20 years older than I think she is.
Well, I mean, it looks like she had a jacket on, and she looks like she's ready to hit the doors and go home.
Well,
maybe during this match.
Maybe the bathroom. Maybe a beer.
Oh, I meant something.
Murdoch takes his boot off here. Of course, that's legal. So why not do that at the beginning of the match? See, I would have marked out if Murdoch had taken his teeth out right here and started like raking it across the forehead of Orton. Now that would have been some quality stuff right there.
Did he ever do that?
No, of course not. I wish that would be
this match, but
in
any
no.
other match.
But
that would be great.
Oh, it'd be awesome, especially with Dick. I can see Murdoch doing that all day long.
Yeah, if anybody would do it, it'd be him. They tried to get Jim Ross to hold his teeth.
What's unfortunate here is there's that no blood referendum by. There's a nice boot shot right there. And I thought this might have been the finish when I was watching this before. But Orton gets out of there. But Ted Turner lays down that no blood rule. And so we have a gimmick match, or a bull rope match, no less. And they're not allowed to bleed. And so it's hard for me to... It does take it away. But what takes it away worse for me is he's sitting there hitting him with the boot. repeatedly, not just once. They're hitting each other with the cowbell, and nobody's bleeding. And it almost exposes things for longtime fans at that point, because back in the day, if Dusty hit you with the elbow, you could bleed. There was a first blood match, I believe it was a first blood match between Dusty and Tully. He hit him with the bionic elbow. And Tully bled, and they had to go put Vaseline on it or whatever to hide the fact that he was bleeding, whatever that finish was. But just a simple elbow, which in real life, that could split you wide open. But here, these guys are hitting each other with everything, and nobody's bleeding. Here's Orton climbing over the ropes, going to the top. Well, he tried bumping. And this is the finish. Murdoch hog ties him here. The fans are into this. They actually popped for this. There was a lot of noise during the match, but he hog ties him. Give me one more, baby. Give him two, dead. Dickie, it's 1 and 2 and 3, baby. Take it home for the Mac and Dream right there. Dickie Murdoch gets the win in just about 5 minutes. Match felt very rushed. It was. It didn't need to go any longer than it did, but it still felt very rushed.
Yeah, and I feel like they're probably making sure they get everything they need to get in, which is smart compared to what was going on in the other shows.
And you weren't going to get any more heat or prolong this match any further without any blood or any storytelling. And here we have Murdoch trying to get the best of both guys, but they outnumber him. Gary Hart over here doing his best Yeti impression against Hulk Hogan.
Yeti.
The Yeti! Hit Sting! Yeah, he's definitely got the Yeti lock on him over there in the corner. He's dry humping him.
Poor Nick Patrick.
Nick Patrick's been here for about a month. He's like, what is going on?
Like, the match is over. What are you stopping him from doing, Gary Hart?
I guess getting involved, stopping the... he's saving his life is what he's doing, because if he went over there, Orton would have drilled him by now. Now he's just letting him over there. I guess he was letting Orton set him up for this hanging. Look at Murdoch selling, crossing his eyes. There's the Byron Scott back out there.
A little bit.
I almost thought that was Charles Robinson from looking straight down on the top of Byron Scott's head, but no. Oh, he kicked him in the head for real. Awesome. Orton just put a boot on top of Scott's head. That's for your daddy, brother. That's for your daddy. And he chokes Murdoch out here, and I don't know that these guys ever even have another match after this. I don't even know how long either of them stick around after this.
What's the point of it then?
Well, they're setting things up in case they do. I didn't say it didn't happen. I just said I don't remember it. I haven't watched ahead. I haven't read ahead. I'm trying to enjoy this as we go along. So maybe there's more. I don't really recall a whole lot more beyond this from either of these two guys.
I don't either. That's why I'm like, why are you doing this? Usually, you go to a gimmick match to end it, like a feud. So maybe they do a couple of house shows runs with it. I don't know, but interesting that they do this when they don't, especially if they don't have anything to go for it. And I don't necessarily. What else would they do? Like, I don't want to see anything else from this. Going forward.
Once you've done the bull rope match and you can't bleed, where do you go from there? Another gimmick match where you can't bleed? This match, and no disrespect to anyone involved. Well, maybe Gary Hart, but no disrespect to anyone involved. This match had little to no heat. And except for the finish. Fans love that hog tie gimmick. They really got on their feet for that finish. There's Lance Russell, and I'm here with Michael Hayes. And Michael, I got to ask you, why the hell are they putting you into a singles match? Why the hell are they giving you a shot at a damn title belt? Well, handsome docket. Wait, wrong gimmick. Let me tell you something, Lancer. You've been in Memphis too long. You've been smoking that reefer bud down there. The Freebirds up here, we take the marijuana pills. You know what I'm talking about? Well, I don't either. But I got a shot here against Lex Luger in that U.S. title. And stop calling me Michael Hayes. It's Michael Hayes. Don't you hear how I pronounce my name? Well, you're all going to know the name Michael Hayes when I get done here tonight. I don't need the Freebirds. I don't need that Bam Bam Gordy. I don't need that Buddy Jack Daniels Roberts. I'm coming back. U.S. title's mine. Do you hear me? Do you hear me, big nose, banana nose? Well, you don't want to follow up? Yeah. I'm still talking. I don't know. I like to hear myself talk. You want to hear me sing some songs? I don't have time for that shit. I'm going to go win myself. My first singles champion. I don't know who booked this shit, but back to ringside.
thank you, Michael Hayes.
Well, that was way better than the real Michael Hayes promo. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, I'd rather listen to you all day instead of him.
That wasn't me. That was Michael.
Or Doc.
Michael. It was Michael Hayes. And now we have tag team action. Paulie out there cutting a little promo with his SST, getting ready for the Dynamic Dudes, the new generation. I think I would have cared for that. I think I like that name a little better than the Dynamic Dudes. Of course, this is Jim Ross's idea. He openly admits it. He thought this was a great idea. He was going for the times, and now they have skateboards. They didn't have skateboards in their debut. Now they've went and bought themselves a couple. Earned that first paycheck, went, and neither one of them ride a skateboard, by the way. In case you notice, they run down holding them in their hands.
Doesn't Johnny try at some point?
One of them does.
He try a couple times?
I know one of them does, and one of them doesn't. I don't remember which is which.
Johnny's probably like, man, I'm too tall for this crap.
Yeah, he really sticks out like a sore thumb in this team. These guys they're not Sean and Marty or Ricky and Robert. They don't have that similar build, that similar size to where they look like they mesh well. Johnny's like a head taller than Shane Douglas. He doesn't really fit this pretty boy gimmick.
It's weird how tall people, like, they don't fit those gimmicks. You need those short, fast guys to kind of get that gimmick over. And, like, Johnny just completely kills it. He's so dang tall.
Wow, tearaway shorts. Not sure I've seen that before. And I wish they'd left those on because now they're in rainbow striped Speedos. And no thank you. I can't get that image out of my head now. Trying to look away. Tommy Young's loving it, though. Tommy Young's digging those trunks.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Looks like Samu's going to start with Ace.
That's Fatu.
Is that Fatu? I can't see. I guess maybe I can kind of tell now from the body.
Hair.
Yeah, I can kind of tell from the body now.
I kind of wish they had a different gimmick, man.
Yeah.
The dudes, I think New Generation kind of leaves them open for
anything.
Like a hybrid team. Yeah, you can do anything with that. And not necessarily the pretty boy and neon and all that crap. You could have done a lot more with that.
Yeah, they were miscast. They were miscast for sure. And that might be...
Dude.
Oh, go on, dude.
I was just going to say the dudes just kind of pigeonhole them in a gimmick that's not going to work.
Right. This might be, and I'm not sure, I'm not going to sit here and try to think about it, years of the history of the NWA, but this might be the first time where guys were chosen for a gimmick rather than, seen first and then given a gimmick. It was kind of like, we need to go find two guys to be these dynamic dudes. You know how Vince used to do things a lot. We need a frickin' garbage man or, whatever.
Right.
And, like I said, the Dynamic Dudes was Jim Ross's idea. Shane had already come into the company by this point. What the hell was that? Look behind you. Look behind you. That's not the last dropkick you'll see Shane throw in this match.
He has a nice dropkick.
Yeah, he throws a hell of a lot of them later on. But it seems like they were, like you said, pigeonholed into this gimmick. They were forced into this gimmick that neither one of them fit. Shane and his real life personality, and that girl in the middle there, wasn't she like at a WrestleMania or something? I feel like they cut to her during a Shawn Michaels match, like WrestleMania 8 or something like that. Blonde hair, high cheekbones. She just sticks out to me.
I didn't really pay attention to her.
Yeah, she's not your typical looking wrestling fan, so she kind of sticks out to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, neither one of these guys worked this gimmick. Yeah, they're doing a lot better here than they did in their first match.
Oh, yeah.
That's another thing where they were basically forced to go out there in that first match they had together on Saturday night, and they were basically probably told to go do as many double team moves as they could think of, and they missed on almost every single one. Oh, what a move. What a move. Talk about timing, man.
Man, the SST are so good.
That was just a badass move. Johnny went to leapfrog him and came down right into a super kick to the throat. And the timing just so perfect.
It's perfect. Yeah, it was. I feel bad for the SST. They were kind of in the land of giant tag teams like the Roadies and, Skyscrapers coming up, Doom. Just a lot of really big tag teams. And some of these other teams like the Rock and Roll or, they're not there obviously, but the Midnights and things like that, the smaller teams like these guys, they're not there. So they kind of look small compared to those other guys. So like they were just there at the wrong time.
Yeah. The gimmick doesn't help either. These Samoans keep going for Johnny's throat. That might explain a lot. He's already been super kicked in the throat, clotheslined in the throat, and I just got chopped in the throat. Hey, guys, this is why I talk like this. The Samoans did it to me. Like, they should have him come out and manage somebody against Paulie and Roman Reigns. I'm sick of that Samoan family. They ruined my throat. Paulie getting involved. Good little heel work there by everybody. Shane Douglas doing exactly what he needs to do, too. Nice. Another kick. Yeah, just Samoans just laying it in on Ace.
It sucks he's going through what he's going through, but...
Yeah.
I believe he has cancer of some kind.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I'm not sure, but I remember that it's something like that. Paulie getting a little heat from the crowd.
His son's really good, too.
Paulie's son?
No, Sam Moves.
I don't know that there were too many Samoans that weren't good. Maybe, what was the one that joined Randy Orton's group there? Manu? Or whatever. Alpha Jr., I think it was.
Manu, yeah.
Yeah, Manu.
Yeah, that's the only one I know that never did anything. All the rest of them are damn good.
And at least he made it to TV for a few weeks just based on his family.
Yeah.
I think that's a rule. You have to get every Samoan at least one TV match.
Man, it's crazy to think of the lineage of the Samoans.
Yeah, it's insane. When people talk about families, they don't even think of the Samoans a lot of the time because they're too busy thinking of, a father with a bunch of sons, whereas the Samoans, they're branched out all over the place.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, I was looking it up one day, and I'm just like, man, all these guys? And they're all good in their own way. I mean, they all do different things, and they're all believable. And I don't, like I said, I haven't seen any of them that sucked. I'm sure Manu can put on a decent match if he wanted to.
Yeah, I was just joking. I'm sure he was decent enough. I mean, he worked the Indies forever. He was a pretty big name up in the Northeast.
Yeah, he just didn't have enough time on WWE TV, so that's not necessarily his fault. But, yeah, I never seen a Samoan that I didn't enjoy watching. They're just tremendous workers.
Did you ever hear the Cornette story about the dudes working the Midnight Express and the fans with the big sheet banner hanging down during the match?
I have not, no.
Oh, it's a great story. I'll tell it here, even though I'm sure everybody who's listening to this has already heard it. The Midnights were feuding with the Dynamic Dudes, and I don't know if that was before Cornette had turned on them or if Cornette was managing both teams or whatever the story goes there, but they're at a house show. I don't know where. But the Midnights are over, and the dudes are getting booed, which is the case most of the time at that point. And the dudes are getting booed out of the building during the match. The Midnights are over, and there's this giant sheet hanging in the rafters, like a banner somebody had wrote, "Johnny sucks dick," on the sheet. Like, real huge. And the fans start chanting, "Johnny sucks dick," during the match. And it deflated Johnny so bad that they come to the back and his head is down. And he's moping around and he's walking around the thing. And they're like, it's like something along the lines of like, "Johnny, what's wrong?" Or, "What's going on?" Or whatever. He goes, "I don't know. I suck Shane's dick." So it's just funny. The way Cornette tells it better, but it's just so funny listening to that story. It made me feel bad for him. And I had never felt bad for Johnny Ace up until that story. Though I did laugh my ass off at it as well.
Yeah, so I think it goes all back to this crappy gimmick that they got handed. And he goes on to like New Japan or All Japan, one of them.
All Japan, yeah.
Has quite a few 5-star matches. I know that's like the running joke that Johnny Ace has more 5-star matches than like a few guys that are all-time greats. So,
well, let's be honest there, though. Those are tag team matches. Johnny Ace is not having a one-on-one 5-star classic.
Well, it doesn't matter.
No, I agree. I know what you're saying. He's still involved.
Yeah, he had to do his part, but like I said, it just stinks. I think they could have done something with this, for sure. Shane's a little ball of fire out there.
Yeah, man, he hasn't stopped moving on. He's gonna be winded before he gets to the ring. I mean, he's done as much work on that apron, and let me tell you, dude, that's a lot of work. Just the referees, moving around like he is. He's blowing himself up. But Shane, man, he hasn't stopped moving since he got out there. He's bouncing around, swinging around, getting excited. He's doing his part on the apron to get the fans into it and just sell it like this is real. He's wanting that tag. He's done I've actually watched Shane. I've looked over 3 or 4 times already during this match. He's doing an amazing job at just playing the corner guy right now, waiting for the hot tag. I don't know if I've seen anybody do it better.
He's like, this is my first pay-per-view. I'm doing everything I can to make myself show out. So.
A Samoan with a Boston crab. Is that like a Samoan crab?
To be honest with you, man, it's going to be whatever Samu wants to call it. I'm not going to tell him otherwise.
This isn't the finish, so. Oh, Paulie's on the house mic. I wish I had caught that early. I would have picked up the audio. I'm sure whatever he said was fun.
It wasn't muted. If he didn't get muted.
Right. Ace with the monkey flip. That's an interesting way to get a hot tag. I've never seen that for a hot tag before.
I think he's going to go for the enziguri, but he realized he couldn't do it. So
yeah, I mean, it did look like he set him up for the enziguri, and he's like, nah, we're just going to do a monkey flip. And here's these drop kicks. Look at that one. He does another one here, too.
That's Pillman-esque right there.
Yeah, that's very,
some level of Pillman.
Yeah, I didn't realize how good Shane could throw a drop kick at this point.
Ooh.
Oh. Well, that didn't last too long. Yeah, Shane basically got the hot tag. He coming in through like 20 drop kicks, and then here we go. Boom.
Well, that's why he worked so damn hard on the outside. He knew he was going to get like the 15 second.
Oh, Ace broke it up. Did he break it up too? Wow. I thought that was it. Oh, no. Never mind. It can't be it. Never mind. Damn it. I just remembered something. I'll save it for everyone else, though. And here he picks him up, turns towards Ace, drop kick. Shane lands on top. 2, 3. And the Dynamic Dudes are the first people to beat the Samoan SWAT team. And I don't care that it was a fluke win or whatever you want to call that type of win. I'm not a happy camper here. Like, I would have saved the SST's loss for something bigger than this. I understand this was their idea to get their next Ricky and Robert over, but just when they come back in hindsight, this was not the trigger to pull.
Yeah, it kind of feels like it just totally kills the SST momentum that they had. And I can't remember where they go with the SST after this.
I don't know that they go anywhere after this.
I know they get the roadies in like.
Oh, right, the War Games and at the Bash. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right. The Road Warriors over the summer.
That's crazy. Then why are you jobbing them out when you're going against the top team
I don't know.
in the company?
I feel like maybe initially this might have been the blow off with the Midnights and the SST going over, or the Midnights going over. I don't know, but instead they kind of parlay this into a way to try to get the dudes over. And I get it. If you want to get somebody over, give them a big win straight into the company. And at this point in the actual pay-per-view, the actual pay-per-view runs about 3 hours. And here we're at 2 hours and 28 minutes. And that's because during the next half hour after the SST match, there was the final countdown music video from Europe, followed by a 24 or 25 minute Oak Ridge Boys concert, which the WWE Network has conveniently cut out. Instead, we go straight from the SST to Luthez, but I had to preface that because imagine going from an Oak Ridge Boys concert to a Luthez interview. Can you imagine what was going through Luthez's mind at this point?
He's like, am I at a wrestling show?
Yeah.
What the hell's going on here?
Wake me up when this shit's over.
Or I'll stretch you. You know, you can probably stretch somebody right there.
I always like seeing... Yeah. I mean, his last match was in 1990. I think he was like maybe 72 or something. So, yeah, Thez still had a match in him. Pat O'Connor, the only man from New Zealand to be the world champion.
He looks awesome.
I think he had some tax issues in the early 80s, and he had a big stake in the St. Louis territory with Sam Muchnick for quite a while. And I think when Muchnick retired, O'Connor was ready to get the hell out of the country for a little bit, so he owed a few back taxes, I believe.
Back to New Zealand he goes, huh?
Well, he's here in 89, so that's cool. And then, obviously he passes away before next year's Starrcade because the tag team tournament's named after him, which is odd because he wasn't in a tag team. I guess that goes back to Jim Herd and his relationship with the St. Louis office. And here's Terry Funk. I'm like 30 years younger than these guys. These crackers. And he sticks out like a sore thumb here with these three guys. You got O'Connor and Thez. They look their age, and Terry Funk's only in his 40s here. Just so weird. Makes sense later, but just so weird otherwise.
Yeah. But his career is legendary by this point already.
Oh,
He
absolutely.
fits in.
Oh, I agree. I'm just saying age-wise, like looking at him. He just looks like a completely different generation.
I'm saying, like, it's just crazy. Like,
now had they put Dory there, you wouldn't have noticed a difference because that dude's looked 80 since he was born.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Like, he still looks the same. He looked the same from like his run in the WWF in like '86 to when he came out at Royal Rumble '96. He looked the exact same. Hair may have been a little grayer. That's about it.
Little balder, not too much. Oh, here he comes.
Oh, Jesus. Matsuda's there, so...
Yeah, he's there for this match. Which I found interesting.
But he wasn't there for Butch Reed.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure if he's there for Flair. I don't remember.
I think it's... you think they just left him back there because, Teddy Long was coming out and they didn't want the ringside to be too congested? I don't know.
No, because if I remember correctly, because I've seen this match fairly recently, I think Teddy Long comes out during this match. So that wouldn't make any sense.
So, AKA, they just have no idea what the hell to do with Hiro Matsuda. It's like,
well, they weren't the ones that hired him. Yeah, George Scott hired him, and now he's kind of stuck under contract here for at least a little bit longer, I guess. At least for this pay-per-view.
Yeah, they're probably just like, well, he's on the payroll, might as well use him. He's in a spot already, so.
And
I can't even stand to look at this dude.
And Matsuda spent a long time in Florida, so I don't know if he's living in the States, if he's back in Japan. If he's back in Japan and they're flying him here, that's just insane.
That's just stupid. He's clearly doing nothing. I mean, he doesn't cut a promo. He's just there randomly on certain shows.
Luger coming out. Your boy. Now, who are these guys coming out with Luger here? Doing this jogging in place bit. What is this shit? Did they win a contest? Like, what do they know? What do they have on somebody to get this entrance with Luger? Made no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't know. Could they be? I'm sure JR or Ross mentions it, doesn't he, during the commentary there?
I don't think so.
I wonder if he's part of the football team or something, like a high school football team or something like that. Some couple players, but those guys look older. There's no way it's high school. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like the clash here of colors. They're wearing the same color. That's kind of annoying.
And we're on the network here, so you're not able to tell, but oddly, and more foreshadowing as the match goes on, Michael Hayes opts to come out in this match to Freebird by Leonard Skinner rather than Bad Street. Seemed odd at the time, makes sense by the end of the match. And of course, this match all started with Michael Hayes turning on Lex Luger at the Omni during a match against the Wyndhams. They would go on to have a brawl on Saturday night, causing Michael Hayes to lose his hosting gig, which also screwed Magnum TA over in the interim. Michael with a little payback there on syndication. One of the syndicated promos, he came out and attacked Luger, dropped him with a DDT in the ring, left him laying. And this is like Hayes' first big deal title match ever. I mean, on national TV that I can think of.
He didn't deserve it.
Even when Terry and Buddy were busy doing the tag team matches and Michael was off feuding with another person, like when he was feuding with the Dog in Mid-South, there was no real title angle there. It was just that he blinded the Dog and the Dog was coming back for revenge, which it's a good story to tell, and you're not expecting a wrestling match there. You're expecting a hell of a fight, which is what they put on at the Superdome. Yeah. But here, this is for a belt, and oh my God, what are those orange things hanging from Michael Hayes' arms? What is that frilly shit? I got to look at that the whole match. I thought he was just wearing that to the ring. I thought he was taking that off.
Nope.
Oh, and the headlocks begin.
I remember the first time I watched this show, for the first time seeing it, and I was like, oh yeah, Michael Hayes, there's no way he's winning the U.S. title. Like, I didn't know that happened. And then he wins the match, and I'm like, what in the hell is going on?
Oh, you just gave away the finish, man. You can't do that.
You can edit it out.
Oh, and by the way, guys, we'll do another timestamp now. And we're at 54, 46, 47, 48, 49.
Man, headlocks already.
Yeah. It's going to be a long night of headlocks. Well, a long match of headlocks. The rest of the card is probably pretty swift. Nice fluid action. But this is what you get from a Michael Hayes match. You saw it with the Russian Assassin, and I'm sure you're going to see it here. Because as good as Luger is in this time frame, oh my God, that was a train wreck. Looks like Hayes tried to go, and there's Teddy Long at ringside. We got all kinds of shit going on.
Hello.
Oh, if she had cleavage, that would have been amazing. Teddy Long back at ringside. I don't know who the hell he's scouting here. Like, why isn't Hero going over there and choking him? Well, yeah, if he's scouting Hayes, Hero should be over there confronting him. Like, I have far more money, round eye.
Yeah.
Look at here, player. You be drinking that Haterade.
It's going to get you. It's going to cost you a lot of money.
I think by now Hero's ready to sell Hayes. And sell low.
It wouldn't be.
Stalling. Something Hayes is very good at. A little bit of that Memphis style stalling. Going out there and messing with the crowd. I'd rather see that than an armbar, though. At least I have fans to watch reactions of. Yeah, but even though Luger's decent at this point in his career, he's not going to carry someone like a Michael Hayes to a 15, 16-minute match. Decent match. Steamboat's not carrying Michael Hayes to a 15-minute decent match. It wouldn't be bad. I'm sure it would just hold an armbar. No, there's not going to be any flaws in the match, but it's not going to be good. Hayes takes another powder. Some more stalling. So a lot of stalling, a lot of rest holds here. Luger did what?
I think Luger looks even bigger.
Oh, yeah. He didn't stop. Yeah, he didn't stop growing. Yeah, he's still growing. Big boy.
It's insane. It's just crazy to think what he looks like now. He could barely sign his autograph.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
It definitely is. This makes you wonder, though, if that didn't happen to him, would he even still be alive?
Yeah, good question. May have saved his life. Ironic.
It probably humbled him enough to realize that it's not worth it.
Hayes finally done with the stalling. Now he's going to go into the high spots here with some stomps and some turnbuckle smashes. Shouldn't be long before he goes to the go-to, the arm bar or the chin lock. Well, he's out of moves besides the DDT now. He did that awful looking clothesline he does.
Barry Windham, he is not.
No. Kendall Windham, he is not.
Oh, no.
He goes for the DDT there, and Luger takes a back bump. I've never seen that as a counter before, but they weren't near the ropes for Luger to grab the ropes, so I guess that's really about all you could do. It just looks so weird watching Luger take a perfect back bump to counter the DDT.
It's kind of smart.
You're just saying that because it's Lex Luger.
I've seen him fall down, stomach first and then kind of slither out of it type deal. But, yeah, back bump, never. I've never seen that. Maybe Luger's more comfortable falling on his back instead of going to his stomach and sliding out.
Well, I thought we were done with the stalling, but that's clearly what this match is going to be. A few minutes of stalling, a few minutes of rest holds.
This is all Hayes' fault, right?
He's all out of, well,
he doesn't want to work.
I don't know that he can work. I don't know that it's his fault. You can't really fault him if this is all he can do.
You can.
You have to fault the NWA for putting him in this position.
Well, I get that, but at the end of the day, he's been in the business how long? You can't improve.
Well, he's past his prime, man. He's in his late 20s now.
Oh, my bad. Peak Michael Hayes.
Oh, Luger fools Michael Hayes and hits him with his own move. Grabs him in that big armbar. Only this looks like an actual armbar. It's not Michael Hayes' loose, shitty-looking one. Like, this one looks like it's actually applied, at least.
My God. The roids are just busting out of there.
Yeah. Yeah, hey, what's up, man? Hey, what's up, on TV, Bob? Shoots him off the ropes. Dropped down by Luger. Let's see if they can finish this sequence. Wow, he's got stuck on top of him doing the sunset. Can't even do a sunset flip. Oh, my God. He's worse than I remembered, man.
I think Luger even realized... See, there's the Glory Days shirt right there.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of them. That's pretty cool. But I think Luger even realizes he's not going to... Hayes isn't going to sell for him. He's not going to do any bumps.
No, so Luger knows what's up. Luger knows what's up. Luger's been around long enough to know what to do with who. I mean, he's not Ricky Steamboat. He's not even necessarily the leader of a match, but I think he has an idea of what he's working with here. The scary part of this is Hayes hasn't even started getting heat yet, so this is the exciting part of the match. It looks like Luger might have been wanting a power slam there, but settled for a backbreaker.
I wouldn't even want to work with this guy.
I don't think
he doesn't want to do anything. I know, but you just don't. He doesn't want to do anything for you. Hey man, I'm gonna go out here and stall and put you in a few arm bars.
Listen, Lex Luger. This is what we're gonna do, okay? let me throw it down for you out here on the table. Michael Hayes is gonna come out there. I'm gonna stall. I'm gonna hit you with one of my moves. I'm gonna stall. Then I'm gonna be out of moves, so you can hit me with a move. Then I'm gonna stall some more. Then we'll do some chin locks. Take it home.
Pretty much.
And oh my God. Sorry, everybody. Oh my God. It hurts talking like that. All right, I'm better. Luger hulking up a little bit there. Oh, look at that double choke in the air. I can't believe he jumped up there for him.
Looks like he overshot. I thought he was going to drop him.
Well, those punches are a little weak there, Lex. Look a little weak there, Lex.
Hayes probably doesn't even want to
he takes a clothesline and bumps on his ass. Nice spot by Luger.
Luger doing that is more energy than Michael Hayes is exerting
for the rest of the whole match, yes. Absolutely. Maybe Lex knows that. Maybe Lex is like, I'll go out there and I'll take one bump for you because I know we're not going to have to do anything else.
Lex is probably like, you know what, I'm going to show these guys for... Yeah, never mind. We'll save that for later.
And see right there, Lex would have been blading if this was Crockett days.
It still wouldn't have helped this match.
I didn't say it would help the match. I just said Lex would have been Blady. And looks like Hayes is taking over at this point, so I'm curious to see how this looks. Oh my God, he fell straight down, bent his knees and everything. He just refuses to land on his back. He took that clothesline on his ass. Now he hit that suplex and kind of crumpled down to break his own fall in the suplex. There's just no way that he's so injured from his big career as a Freebird that he can't take a bump at age 29 or whatever it is. And we're off to the races with the chin locks. Count how many times he applies this thing. See how many times Lex gets out of it.
And he's calling the match, too.
Who's calling the match? Hayes?
Yeah, he's talking to him.
Well, he's the heel. Typically, they were supposed to call the match, but there's really nothing to call. He probably just told Lex to make a comeback. Ooh, jab to the face. Bulldog. Shitty Bulldog. I feel like that was the same spot from their main event match. That match where they did the double count out match that went 18 minutes. I feel like this is almost the identical match. If I go back, I really never want to have to watch either one of these again. But if I go back and these matches are identical spot-wise, I'm going to be really pissed off because that's just extra lazy. Because I remember Luger missing something and diving and rolling out to the floor in that one too, only he rolled out under the ropes instead of taking the bump over the top rope like that. And I remember the jab and the Bulldog too.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to the repertoire for him. And Luger's limited, obviously.
And here we go again with Hayes teasing like he's going to climb up to the top rope. I remember that too. So I swear, man, Hero's going to get involved here. Oh, you pissed me off, boy-san. You think he was the answer to Mr. Fuji? You were talking about Teddy Long coming here to be the answer to Slick. Was Hiro Matsuda the answer to Mr. Fuji?
It's a bad. I mean, at least Mr. Fuji has some personality, and he couldn't talk worth a crap on the microphone or cut a good, decent promo, but he had personality and a character that exudes. This dude just looks like a legit
businessman,
badass Japanese guy. Yeah,
oh, okay.
He looks like he just looks like somebody that could probably you don't want to mess with.
Yeah, he looks like some dude out of an episode of Walker, Texas Ranger or something. Business dude that can rip somebody's throat out.
A Yakuza member or something like that. I don't know. He just looks like somebody you just don't want to mess with. Whereas Fuji, he just looks like a conniving,
Charlie Chan, man.
Odd job. He looks awesome. I like Fuji, but
Chinlock number 3. And the people in the front row are not looking at everything but the match.
Look at that dude in the left of right over Bob Cottle's shoulder in that red shirt, like a varsity shirt. He's just sitting back with his arms up man, this is garbage.
Yeah, this match, I don't have the audio on. Let's turn the audio on. Let's see if this match is getting any heat right here. Luger getting up off the ground.
Again, he'll try to turn the inside, belly to belly to relieve of the pressure of the reverse chinlock, and he's done so. Good move by Luger. Right hands right downstairs.
Not really.
Sounds pretty quiet.
Yeah, they're making noise, but they're not really getting behind the match. They weren't really behind Luger. And not that Luger's not over, just that this match is not over. And I think everyone probably thought, myself included at the time, that there was no way Hayes was winning this match. Oh, they're doing this spot again. Throws him off.
There it is.
Just like the TV show. Yeah.
It's the same match.
Yeah, it's the same match from the main event, I feel like. And they didn't even think to change anything after it aired nationally. But Luger pulls him off, or throws him off, and probably the biggest bump Hayes has ever taken in years. Thrown up in the air like that. And now, oh.
he went on his back for the clothesline.
He jumped up for that clothesline. Well, it feels like they're taking it home, so Hayes is kicking it into high gear now. Oh, he ain't got no option there. Oh, that had to hurt. That's got to hoit.
Yeah, there's a reason I never do this.
Yeah.
Oh, back
2 in a row. Ah, I love it. He probably knew that was the only move he could force Hayes to take a bump on.
Probably. He's probably not even like...
He's going a third time. He's doing it a third time. Wow, that looks awesome. Look at that. Oh, he's going to throw him out on the Caudle. Bob Caudle probably shit a brick there. Don't do that to me. He's calling for the rack. I smell the finish. And watch this, guys. There's a DDT. Had to come into play. Oh, yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That looked pretty rough.
Took a back bump, man. That's a DDT. And I'll forewarn everyone right now. Lex will kick out of this if he covers him. This isn't the finish, but there's a bump coming up with Nick Patrick where he doesn't even really get hit. And he's basically, because it's like part of the finish, he has to sell it. And he goes down, clutching at his arm because they may have brushed his arm. I think it's coming right here. Here it comes. Oh my God. Poor Nick Patrick. Forced to sell that because we got somebody coming from, who's that coming from the crowd? Oh, what was that?
Gordy just pushed Hayes on top of Luger. Luger's foot's on the bottom rope and Gordy pushed it off. And the referee counts 3. Hayes
and then Luger kicks out.
I don't think Hayes even knows he's won.
The crowd here is hushed.
Ladies and gentlemen, in 16 minutes, 6 seconds, the winner and new United States Heavyweight Champion, Freebird Michael B.S. Hayes.
Is that what you call doing it on your own? Hayes is out of it. I don't think he even realized he's won the United States Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, so that explains a whole lot over the last several weeks. Michael Hayes, the Freebird's getting brought up. Michael Hayes continuously saying he doesn't need the Freebirds to win the title or to get over. And, of course, what happens right after he says that, Terry Gordy emerges from out of nowhere, back to the NWA here, back from Japan, and pushes Michael's ass here. And Michael has to actually stand up, drop to his knees, and then fall over on Luger. Nick Patrick crawls over, makes the count, can't even look at the shoulders. Should have never made that count. And yeah, it's just unfortunate Patrick having to sell that bump at all. Luger puts his foot on the ropes twice. Gordy throws it off twice. He looks like he starts to do it a third time. And then he kicks out with like a monster kick out after the finish.
He's like, get the hell off me.
Hey, we're back here with Sting.
Will be defending the World TV title. It won't be long. You'll be in the ring, Sting.
I can't wait. You know the way I get every time I see the lights and the cameras and all kinds of people running around with paint on their face, acting weird, jumping through the stands, running in place, beating on their chest, doing all that kind of weird stuff that I do. Woo! I just can't wait to get in the ring. The Iron Sheik. You are going to love this just as much as I am. Woo! Later.
Is he ready or is he ready? The Stinger heading to the ring. If we're going to keep up with it, let's go.
And random kids running out in front of that one looks a little too big. It looks like the kid you would, if he came to your door on Halloween, you'd say, aren't you a little too big to be trick-or-treating? He's out here as a Sting fan, though. And tell me about that promo, man. Are you going to tell me that was a good promo? Are you going to keep feeding me this shit?
No, I don't think it's a good promo. But to be honest, like, what the hell do you say about the Iron Sheik, man? I mean, there's nothing he could say. He's just having a good time. He's living the dream. He's doing the dynamic gimmick better than the dudes.
Iron Sheik, I will have fun, Sting. I'll have the fun, you idiot. You idiot, I'll have the fun to get to pay the $200,000. I smoke my marijuana. I smoke my crack. I smoke my medicine. I have a fun. I do the job in 2 minutes. I make a $200,000. Yahala there.
Oh, Jesus. I love
Or Sting, maybe I shoot on you, I break your back, I fuck your ass, I make you humble to the Sheik, you no good punk of bitch stink. Were you the one telling me the story, or did I hear the story somewhere else? I think, or was it you, or was it maybe a Tony Schiavone or something telling the story of the Iron Sheik? Every time he talked about Sting, he called him Stink. That's just how he pronounced his name. I hate wrestling that stink.
I'm not surprised. Looks like she got some new gear for the pay-per-view, man. Some bright orange number.
Yeah,
there.
I was gonna say I can see his undies. I can see his undies through his gown there. Some see-through lingerie. Maybe pick that up at Victoria's Secrets or Frederick's back then. And of course he nails Sting with the flagpole. Sting with that awesome black rat tail, rocking the black rat tail still. He still does for a couple more months because I know he has it in All Japan in the summer. Sheik choking away because Byron Scott doesn't know how to disqualify anybody. And the curl-toed boot to the head. So Sheik's now used the flagpole. He's choking a man to death. He's ramming him into curled-toed boots.
And barely throwing some clubbing forearms.
Yeah. Sting no-selling, which he should be. Because he's like...
Terrible job.
He's barely touching him with these chops. Or whatever those are supposed to be. There we go. He can't sell either. He can't bump. He can't move. Oh, God. Oh, this is bad.
His gut is just like stiff as a board, man.
Yeah.
Even if he wanted to sell, I don't think he could, just the way his body was.
Now he's got got it over his face.
It's like getting off odds.
Rip Morgan playing the corner man. Just Byron Scott keeps throwing down every piece of Iron Sheik's crap. Oh, the lady got it that time.
I didn't even see Rip Morgan. Did he hightail it out there?
I think he took the rest of Sheik's garb backstage. He forgot that part. He's playing ring crew tonight. You take my stuff backstage. I don't need the people that stealing it.
Cheap ass doesn't want to buy his gear again. I think I just saw him coming back.
Lazy gut wrench there. And can't be much more of this match, I don't think.
Oh, Teddy Long.
I didn't know Teddy Long was out here for this match. You think he's scouting the Sheik? Won't be scouting him for very long here. Here comes the Stinger Splash. Oh, it's Sting. What a bump. Bumped him right into the middle of the ring. Good job, Sheiky.
He did sell that one pretty good.
He set that perfectly up for the Scorpion.
Look at him doing the job, tapping out.
And this bitch is over in 2 minutes and 12 seconds. Exactly how long it needed to go.
Good for Sheik there doing the job, unlike JYD.
I'm sure Sheiky was getting paid more than JYD too.
That's unfortunate. I'd rather watch JYD than the Sheik at this point.
Yeah, it didn't seem like Sheik ever had an issue doing jobs for people. I think he knew, based on his age and his ability at this point, I don't know that he was ever complaining about the jobs he was doing here in the NWA, and certainly not the jobs he did in the WWF as Colonel Mustafa. I think he was just happy that he was getting paid, and he gets. Maybe he fooled everyone. Maybe he knew that I'm sure he knew he sucked, but maybe he knew he sucked, and they would send him home like they did, because they ended up sending him home not too long after this and just paying him to sit out most of his contract. Of course, they forget about him then, and it rolls over, and then they try to use him again, and the whole scenario plays all over again. But they make sure not to renew it again in '91. Well, I'll leave it up to you. You want to hear the Steamboat promo or not?
Let's go for it. Let's hear it.
Has brought a lot of different thoughts to my mind, and the fact that there are a lot of other contenders out there. And that's why that stipulation was put in, Ric Flair's last chance. We've got 3 ex-world champions around the ring acting as judges to eliminate any kind of controversial 1, 2, 3s that might happen when this match ends. But I will say this, Ric Flair, you are probably the greatest of all the world champions ever. Whoever comes out the winner tonight, I will shake your hand, tip my hat. But I will say this,
I'm in the best shape of my life. I've heard through the grapevine that you have trained for hours to be in the best shape of yours. Let there be no excuses. Let the reigning world champion come out in this Nashville show. I'll see you there in the squared circle, Flair.
Okay, that's it. By golly, I'll tell you, let's follow it right now to the ring for this most important match.
From the Dragon, and who else but the Nature Boy would come to the ring with 40 ladies lining the aisle.
He's got 6 lead ladies there, 40 lining the aisles. I tell you, the lifestyle of this man never ceases to amaze. The one and the only. There's never been another one like him, and I don't suspect they ever will be. 5 times the world heavyweight champion, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Boy, he knows how to pick them, doesn't he, Jim?
Yeah, most indeed. Man,
Apparently there was a no bras clause tonight here at the pay-per-view based on those women walking by the screen.
How many women does he need?
I don't know. They say 6 leading ladies. I only count 4. Maybe he's already nailed a couple.
Heck, look at all the ones on the bottom.
Well, he said 40 more. Those are the other 40. I don't know if there's 40 of those either, but who's counting? Maybe if you're counting their breasticles.
Jesus. What's the point of this?
It's getting over that he is the ultimate ladies man and Steamboat is the ultimate family man. Come on, Steve. Where have you been the last few months?
I get it, but man, this is overkill.
I'm sure they'll all be at the Hyatt Regency later tonight.
I'm not complaining. It's easy on the eyes.
Oh, watch this entrance. Here's the entrance of all entrances. Look at this shit.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. You know what, though? When you got like 40 women leading the way for Ric Flair, this is the perfect entrance to counteract it. If you want good versus evil, family man versus...
Which one's evil? Which one's good? I guess that's all in the eyes of the beholder.
It's up to your... Exactly. All up into your belief system, but
I don't know many guys that are thinking that this is the cool. I don't care what guy it is. I don't think they think this is the sweet part. I mean, this is just I was so happy when he was cutting that promo, other than having to listen to him. I was happy that when he was cutting that promo that his family wasn't around. I thought this was going to be more about the actual wrestling. But, here we go with, here's the knockoff Miss Elizabeth and Little Dragon, who's dressed in an Elvis Presley costume because, hey, we're in Music City. He's got a little guitar and everything.
Little Dragon looks pretty awesome. You gotta give him credit. His nice little mullet and comb over up top. He looks pretty cool.
Well, I give his mom credit. I'm sure she told Ricky he had to go buy that, and she picked it out and took all the credit for it. I'm not denying Little Dragon. He's the best looking guy in this whole entourage here.
Look at those boots he's wearing. Pretty awesome.
But this is it, the last match in the trilogy. We've watched the other two, and it all comes down to this one final match between Flair and Steamboat. Of the two so far, which one's your favorite?
I've always favored Clash 6. I felt like with the two matches, the time limit, the time that it went, I think it's harder to tell a 58-minute story than it is a 23-minute story, or a 25-minute story. So I like Clash 6 better.
And the judges being announced for the fans. Oh, I'm with you. I think a lot of guys, a lot of people in the business enjoy that first match, that Chicago match, because of the hot crowd. But I can't help it, crowd or not, that New Orleans match, just amazing. To go 55, 56 minutes and tell basically 3 different stories in 3 different matches. Of course, they all go together into one story.
Yeah, within an hour.
Right.
It's just incredible. And I guess it's all based off of what you enjoy out of your wrestling. Like, if you just sit back and watch a match, you have to, without hearing it, I mean, just appreciate what's going on in the ring. I know a crowd can enhance anything. That's mainly the reason, CM Punk and John Cena got that 5-star match in 2011 was mainly the crowd. So I get it. Crowd is a big part, but at the end of the day, it's what happens inside the ring, not necessarily what happens in the crowd. So I like Clash 6. And even though the George Scott 1970s era lighting, I think that enhanced that match to me a little bit. The focus was on the ring. You can't see the fans. It's just those two guys, the referee, in 60 minutes, go out there and do what you do. And they delivered on every aspect of what they needed to. And it's just a phenomenal match.
And I think because I was trying to basically analyze it for this show, I paid close attention to the actual stories they were telling in those falls, and I was just blown away by that alone. It just really got me hooked in. I basically tuned out the fans at that point. As we get started with this one, I've probably seen this one more than I've seen any of them, and yet for some reason, I'm drawing a blank. I really don't remember a whole lot about this match right now. I know what happens after the match, but that's another story. So I'm actually really interested. I did not go back and watch this match. I did go back and watch a few things on this show to get a few ideas of what to talk about. But in this particular match, I saved it for the watch along. So everything I see here will be like the first time again for me, because it's been quite a while since I've seen this.
Same here. And I don't know the NWA WCW pay-per-views like I do the WWF ones. I can tell you those with my eyes closed. I can tell you what's going on. I've seen them so many times. That's what I kind of grew up with. But these, like, every time I watch them, they seem to be, first time ever again. Because it really is hard and difficult to follow the NWA story-wise. WWF, you can just tell a year and you can know what's going on, whereas the NWA, it's like things change so much and they didn't do a good job of highlighting their shows, and then the syndication's hard to come by and things like that. So it's really hard to know everything that goes on and remember it.
Yeah, to remember everything chronologically, I agree with you. And that's why this has been a pleasure to go back through and go through all this stuff, watch things I've never seen, watch things I haven't seen in years, watch things in actual chronological order so that they make more sense to me. It's given me a whole new look at 1989 NWA. And I know a lot of it. I especially know the second half of the year really well. But it's just been a pleasure, and I hope that we've been helping people go back through memory lane as well with these shows. Flair laying in the chops early. And then, let me tell you, dude, one thing I remember about this match is they chopped the living hell out of each other during this match.
I'm not surprised. I think they both know, obviously, that this is the end. So I think they're going to give it all they got. So this match is definitely going to look different compared to the other ones because, Chi-Town, Steamboat wanted the belt, and then, the obviously Clash 6. So this time it's Flair's last shot. So,
and I'm not sure if it was Jim Ross. I'm not sure if it was Jim Ross or who it was that I heard state before that Steamboat thought that there might be another match coming out of this one. He didn't know the plans for after this, and we'll get to that after the match. I don't want to spoil anything. Oh man, was that what's his name there? He became very famous on Tony Schiavone's podcast. Not Grizzly Smith. Can't think of his name now. Damn it. Luthez sitting down there with Terry Funk. Terry Funk actually taking notes, scoring points, and that's another thing. They're down there they're down there with points. I'd like to see those scorecards, what they're really writing down on there.
That'd be one cool thing to have, for sure. I wonder if anybody has them. See if Jim Ross kept any of that stuff?
I doubt he kept that. I doubt he ever saw that again. That probably gets balled up and thrown away at the end of this match. I don't know that Terry wasn't just doodling at that point.
it's crazy the things you don't really think about. Could you imagine if they kept that and said, "Hey, this is Terry Funk's scorecard from WrestleWar '89"? Like, could you imagine them like trying to sell that or put it up for auction or something? Like,
could you believe somebody proving that was legit?
I mean, maybe they had some custom WrestleWar '89 paper that was only available to the workers. You never know. It's Turner. They had an endless supply of money. At least they thought they did.
Yeah, and they bring these judges out here, I guess, in order to tease that this match might go the distance, go the full 60 minutes, because they do mention repeatedly that this is a 60-minute time limit. And the last match did go just about 60 minutes.
I think Steamboat even mentioned, too, so that way we don't get any funny business, like on the pin. If there's a pin, they can kind of see it there. I don't know if they can overrule a referee, obviously, but if you have 3 dudes out there, you might as well take advantage.
Right.
I don't really like looking at these bald heads and Funk's mullet the whole match.
Yeah, they seem to be cutting over there a little too often.
They should have done it like boxing and have one on each side of the ring. That way they all had different angles, and because if you're sitting in the same spot, you're probably going to score the match the same.
Right. Right here, they're starting off slow. Steamboat just working the arm drags, holding the arm. Makes you feel like they're setting up for a long match, which they do go quite a bit of time. Probably just enough time for this match. So we get a little wrestling to start things off. No shock there, given the guys involved. And unlike Michael Hayes, this actually looks pretty decent wrestling work here. Flair counters with the drop toe hold. Steamboat sits out and right back to the hammerlock.
Yeah, so it's like you do a rest hold or an arm bar or something like that with these two, and it's just like it's leading to something else. It's going to be quick action almost right afterwards, and
right.
It's not going to be for too long. Whereas Michael Hayes is like, here we go again, or Randy Orton, here we go again. Could you imagine a Michael Hayes Randy Orton match?
I'd rather not.
5-star classic.
Yeah, I can't help but wonder some of the matches we could have got with Ricky Steamboat here in 1989 in the NWA, because it all basically kept going back to Flair. And I know we got some undercard guys. We got Victory and Rip Morgan and even Ron Simmons on Steamboat on TV, but it just felt like there were so many matches and opportunities out there that we just didn't get a chance to see.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And I get it. He's probably brought in for this little story arc here that they're doing, but he can always change plans a little bit. But then again, you look at it, pay-per-view buys go down each time he's out there. The lowest rated Clash, lowest rated Saturday night ever. And I'm not blaming that on Ricky Steamboat, but
no.
I wonder if that's part of it. They saw that and said, you know what, he's just not drawing, but that's not his fault at all.
I would have to imagine that they knew the outcome of this feud when this feud started. I'm sure there was an agreement made for Flair to even agree to drop the belt. I would imagine there was an agreement made of how this was going to play out. And it's Klondike Bill at ringside. That's the name I was trying to think of. The guy sitting out there at ringside used to be in charge of ring crew type stuff and built cages and things like that for the NWA. And Tony Schiavone has some really crazy stories about Klondike Bill. Really crazy stories. Flair laying it in on Steamboat now. Flair going to make a little comeback here, looks like. But yeah, man, it's so unfortunate that Steamboat doesn't stick around either. He's gone by, I don't know if he leaves directly after the Great American Bash or shortly thereafter. I think the Bash is his last night in, but if not, it's very shortly after that. And that's So unfortunate, and there's so many rumors that it was his wife who made that call. She makes a lot of calls for him. I mean, this is how the story goes anyway.
When did they end up separating?
Good question. I don't know, but I do know when they did separate, she took his name. Like, she got rights and ownership of the Ricky Steamboat name. And I think that's why he didn't appear on WWE TV there for a bit. I believe Vince bought it back for Steamboat. Got him the rights back to his name from his wife. Can't imagine what that woman sold it for. But Steamboat did finally manage to get the rights back to his own wrestling name. She's quite a piece of work from everything I understand.
That sucks. It's like she probably... I don't want to get in too far into it just because I don't know. I wasn't there, obviously.
Yeah, and I wasn't there either, but I've listened to a lot of... Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories from guys that I trust, because I've heard a lot of shoots too, and there's a lot of guys that I don't necessarily, hold anything they say to a grain of salt, but there's other guys that tell stories that they're, for the most part, they're pretty trustworthy guys. They have no reason to make it up, and I believe it. Nice move by Steamboat there, leapfrog over and right back on top. Flair taking a nice bump to the floor by Ric Flair.
It just feels like she found the nicest dude in the business and took advantage.
Isn't that usually how it works? Only usually vice versa. It's usually the nicest girl finding the dickhead guys, but I guess it works both ways. You just have those people, and then they look for those things. And I'm not going to turn this into a Love Lines episode or anything, but you're right.
Right. It just seems that way, and it's unfortunate because, on all accounts, I don't think Steamboat's one of those guys you never heard a negative word about, and I think his career would be a lot more impactful and meaningful if he didn't make some of the decisions he made, probably because of his wife. So
he made some of the decisions she made.
Yeah, if he didn't go along with it,
you'd have to wonder what had happened with his WWF run. Would he have even left? Would he have even asked for that time off? When he had his son, what would have happened here in '89?
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
I think at some point later in this year, also Steamboat has some kind of surgery. I don't think it's anything super major, but I think I remember at some point reading that, that would have kept him out for a few months anyway. And then he does pop up. I don't know if you remember, but he pops up in 1990 on some of those South Atlantic pro wrestling indie shows in the Carolinas. But really, Steamboat doesn't return to another company, a mainstream company, until he's the Dragon, which I think the vignettes for that started going into WrestleMania 7.
Looks like he got divorced in 2003.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that would explain why his career was so awkward here. He was still married to her certainly throughout all this. She's on the TV. Vince didn't make that mistake twice. He didn't bring her out as the Lizard Lady when he was the Dragon in '91.
I can just imagine that outfit. Woo. Nice hip toss there by Ric Flair.
Yeah, they're going at it good. I always loved Ric Flair. I hated powder blue. I hate powder blue. I won't wear powder blue. But I think only, like two people that rocked it in wrestling that I thought totally looked cool on was Ric Flair, and it worked on Hercules too. And that's about it.
I love powder blue. I got a sick. I don't know if I still have it or if I sold it. I think I sold it, but I have I had a George Brett Kansas City Royals light blue jersey. But I had to get rid of that because I'm an Indians fan, or a Cleveland fan, I should say.
Yeah, you got another year of being an Indians fan. That won't last much longer.
So I got me a sick Dennis Eckersley to replace that. But while we're at this little lull here a little bit, what do you think of their match at Spring Stampede?
That's another one I haven't seen in a long time. I wouldn't hold it up to any of these matches. I don't remember it being bad. I remember Spring Stampede in itself being a really great pay-per-view. Like probably the best pay-per-view in quite a while at that point in the company.
Yeah, I think it's one of their best.
Yeah, I'd have to watch it again. I've seen that match the least amount of any of them, and it's been probably the longest since I've seen that match as well.
Yeah, I think they had the finish kind of like Clash 6, where it was I think Steamboat had his feet on the ropes just in case they wanted to go take it longer.
Right.
But yeah, good stuff. I mean, just Steamboat's so good. I love watching. The only reason I really enjoy watching WCW 94 is all the matches that Steamboat has on TV with like Steve Austin and all those guys. Just so many good matches that people don't even talk about or remember. Yeah, Regal. I mean, just all the guys.
Yeah. That was a hell of a great time in WCW.
Then Hogan came.
Then, yeah, that was my night. You beat me to the same sentence. He sure did. And that was the end of the work rate. We don't have time for that, brother. Let's bring in my people, dude. Let's bring in Kamala and Zodiac and Kamala and Zodiac and
Jim Duggan.
Earthquake, brother. Brother Booty Man. Yeah, Hacksaw. Beating Austin in 30 seconds. You go from a Flair or a Steamboat and Austin feud, the match is going 20 minutes or more, classic matches every time, to Austin dropping the belt in 30 seconds to Duggan.
Ridiculous.
And you wonder why Austin was pissed off at the company during that time frame. Uh-oh, we're picking up the pace here. See, now that would have been a disqualification. Why wasn't that a disqualification? Tommy Young says no. Steamboat went out on his own. I don't think Tommy was watching very well then. Flair took him by the hair.
So Steamboat just flipped over the top rope on his own. Yeah. This is why that rule makes no sense to me. Like, they just enforce it when they need to, not when they have. Like, it's not. I mean, I guess that's all.
I've noticed that a lot here in '89, especially. They were much more harsh with that rule in the 90s because I think sometimes even when guys weren't supposed to do it, they'd do it. And I saw a couple disqualifications that I thought probably weren't supposed to be disqualifications initially, but you couldn't really do anything about it. And here in '89, it's just like, well, it's like AEW. Just if it's not supposed to happen or if it's, don't call it.
Yeah. But
nice
then that
chop
is kind of
and
insulting.
bump into the crowd by Steamboat. What's that?
That shot that they showed of like Terry Funk, I think that was my exact reaction. That was clearly a disqualification.
Who booked that? Oh, Dickie Murdoch, elbow to the throat.
Bonnie's like, you better get your arm off that woman. That dude changing his film. Like, this is perfect 80s. Did you see that?
Yeah.
He's swapping his film.
He's swapping his film out. Yeah, he got screwed, dude. Steamboat's like 1 inch from him, and he can't take any pictures because he's got to swap his film. Like, what are the odds?
Oh, man. They're right there in front of him, and he has
Oh, man, they're beating the living hell out of each other with those chops, man. Look at him go right after him, yank his pants down, jump off the chair. Flair's really running. You really feel this, man. Look at Steamboat just climbing the ropes in the middle of the ropes. Randy Rose wishes he could do that.
And it looks so easy for him.
Yeah, it's very natural. Like, I'll just do this. I do this every time. Flair flip coming? Yep. Oh, man, that was amazing. He went to run the ropes to go to the top, man, and right into that chop. Just awesome. And it plays off the other matches. Steamboat knew it was coming, and this time he countered it.
Looks like he chopped him with his one hand, and then clotheslined him with the other.
Yeah, I mean, it just looked like, I guess he was going for a double chop there. It just looked so awesome, though. Flair ran like face first into it. It was great. And while we have some downtime, since the WWE Network cut out the Oak Ridge Boys, I know everybody's dying to hear some, so I'm going to play some for everyone right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome MCA recording artists, the Oak Ridge Boys.
Hello, Nashville. How you doing? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, I'm just screwing with you guys. Steamboat, another bump to the floor. I know, Steve, you were looking forward to that Oak Ridge Boys, but back to the match, brother.
Yeah, thank you for sparing me.
Just a little ditty of what everyone missed as part of the live version. 25 minutes of that. I didn't even listen to it, so I'm not even sure if they sang their big hit Elvira. That's about all I know them for. Yeah, this match is like chop heaven. Look at Steamboat, man. Jumps about 6-7 feet in the air to take that bump into the ring. It's not often you see the babyface brought in the hard way. Oh, Flair dropping the knee. He's getting serious now. And it's interesting where this deep... Oh, go on, man.
Oh, you go ahead, man.
I was going to say it's interesting we're deep in this match, and Flair has yet to begin to work on the legs. Although that might change right here. Oh, he's not...
Yeah, this match is definitely picking up here.
Yeah.
It's definitely... We're out of the rest hold period where these guys are just balls to the wall to the finish.
That looked inadvertent, but that was still really cool there. Steamboat grabbing at Flair's legs, and Flair just kind of drops his knee down on his throat and chokes him with it. I don't think they meant to do that, but... Oh, Tommy Young takes a bump. I don't think he was supposed to. Maybe he tripped over his own feet. I don't know what happened there. He's right back up.
Flair just went in on a fan, and that whole section popped for it. That was great.
Yeah, Flair was good. They're still talking about it. Look at him. Yeah, come on, man. I could beat him. I could take him. They're still having fun over there. And that dude went home bragging, I got into it with Ric Flair.
He probably still tells the story.
The time he almost whipped Ric Flair's ass. Yeah.
It's probably, man, WrestleWar 89, he's in the middle of his best match with Steamboat, and he tells me to go F off.
Yeah, I pile drove him on a table and everything. Another big knee drop.
How dangerous is that move?
Well, it doesn't connect, so as long as you get the right person doing it, it's safe as safe can be. Picking him up by the ear. I love it.
I don't know, man. I'd be afraid to... Obviously, I'm not a trained wrestler or a wrestler in general, but I'd be afraid to take that move from a...
Yeah, I mean, it's a trust thing. You just lay there and take it and hope the guy knows what he's doing, really.
I think I'd be cool with Ric Flair doing it to me, and I'd be cool with maybe Harley Race doing it to me, but I don't know about anybody else.
Man, I'll tell you what, if Harley Race wanted to knee drop me, I could give a shit less if he busted my head open. I'd let him do it. I took a Harley Race. I'll be like that kid in the crowd. I took a Harley Race knee drop.
Why does Flair keep putting his arm under his head?
I think he's trying to lock hands, lock fingers, hook the leg and underneath the head at the same time. The cradle pin, like best way I can describe it, like Hogan did to Sheik to win the belt.
Yeah. He just keeps going for it, and it seems like it's lifting.
Stun gun, hot shot, baby.
Why the hell is Byron Scott out here? Has he been out here the whole time?
That's a good question. I hadn't noticed him until just now. Makes sense. 2 referees, 3 judges. I mean, it makes sense. If they had played it in better, I would have liked it if they had actually mentioned it and played it in, because then you know you have 2 referees out there. You know that if one goes down, he's taking the scores. He's keeping track of the scorecard. There you go. That explains why he's out there. That's kind of interesting, too, that they're kind of keeping up with the scores to make sure that they can't change them. They're really trying to make this authentic, I'll tell you that, or make you believe.
Yeah, they're already doing a way better job with this judge situation than Clash 1, for sure. Look at Terry Funk standing up, trying to get the action like it's in a bad spot, so he's standing up, getting into it.
I need to see what they're doing.
How can I score it?
Ric Flair's scored twice today.
Probably 40 times with all that many women he had out there.
Yeah, man. The Brawless Wonders.
Like I said, it was not easy on the eyes there. Sure.
Yeah, somebody definitely pillaged a modeling agency that day. Yeah, I need some models. How many? All of them? Bring them all down.
What if he's I need 60? Sir, we only got 30. Well, I mean, I guess I'll go get another one. Or hit up another one.
Well, we'll call it 40. Nobody will count anyway. O'Connor roll. Pat O'Connor's probably giving him big points right there just for doing his move.
So that's how he won his matches?
Yeah. The O'Connor roll.
That's pretty cool. Man, just think of that.
Oh, we got this spot. I love that spot. I love that.
Love
I hate when they redo spots and rematches, but I love that spot. Them guys, they just throw caution to the wind. They're going to make sure that works. Because that doesn't work 50% of the time or more when people try it. And these guys are like, no, it's happening. I don't care how I land, it's happening.
Hell, Bret Hart and Piper didn't even get that spot to work.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that over the years that I hate seeing people try the spot because it feels like it doesn't work more than it does.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. I think, to be honest with you, I feel like Flair and Steamboat are the only two that I've ever seen it work.
Jimmy Hart and Adrian Adonis? WrestleMania 3? Maybe.
Yeah, it's crazy. A jobber and a dude that's like 350 can make it work, but Bret and Piper can't. I guess when you're slinging a 120-pound guy, I guess it's a little easier. But it's just a cool spot when it works. When it's done properly like that, it looks so good.
Flair pretending like he doesn't want to get thrown off the top, but we all know he does. One of his favorite spots to call.
Did he have lingering back issues from his plane crash?
I'm sure he had. I don't know. He's always said that he's been pretty lucky. He hasn't had a lot of injuries.
I know he has a big knot back there, but...
Right. No, they always sold it in these big matches. Usually you get the big superplex spot, and then Jim Ross would sell the back injury story, the plane crash story.
I was just curious because he does a lot.
Takes the bumps on his side, though. You ever notice that? He takes his bumps on his side, just right there with the backdrop.
I just wondered if that's why, because of the crash, if he always went to the side a little bit to protect it, so he didn't get the injuries from it.
Yeah, I'm sure he's answered that at some point. I don't know the answer, but you feel like since they, and I know they didn't do it on purpose because Pat O'Connor's out there, but you feel like since they did the O'Connor roll that maybe one of them would have busted out the Thez press and the spinning toe hold or something like that just to try to get points from the judges.
That's the one thing they probably didn't think of. The O'Connor roll is so commonplace. Yeah. Where the other ones aren't necessarily.
And, that's really what it's called, but a lot of the times, most of the announcers just call it the reverse rolling cradle or something like that. I've just always called it the O'Connor roll. Steamboat hulking up.
Yeah, Flair's smart enough to...
Uh-oh. Oh, look at this. Gets his feet. I love it. That was awesome. Great job by Flair.
It was immediate. It was immediate. Like, he knew what was coming, so he's like, you ain't doing that to me, buddy.
Yeah, blocks the double chicken wing this time. Last time he submitted to it, and he was pinned by it. So Flair's not letting that happen. Good story there. He felt those arms hook, and he was in the ropes. And that didn't even feel so much like a heel move. Steamboat with the flying tomahawk, or as Bob Caudle called it, the Tommy Hawk.
Yeah, I was going to say Flair is so smart in the ring that he has an easy out for a sell job with his back, so he could easily just...
Oh, look at that right there. And that's 2 times in a row that Flair did something that could be considered heelish, but it's really not. Flair gets to the ropes to break that hold earlier, and normally that's a heel type thing to get out of the hold, but it just really felt like desperation. And here, Flair's so groggy, he falls into the middle rope, not the top rope, the middle rope, because the top rope's more obvious. Falls into the middle rope and accidentally sends Steamboat tumbling off the top rope. So it's kind of interesting the way they're booking this match. Flair's not necessarily doing heel tactics here. It's just the way the things are working out.
They just know each other.
Steamboat struggling to get back in the ring. You'd think Flair wants him back in there. He doesn't want to lose his last chance at the title. Steamboat up on the apron. Well, Flair ain't giving him a shot to get back in, though. I don't know what he's working on here. Is that the leg, or I'm not really sure.
Yeah, Steamboat jacked his leg up coming down. So
okay, on the bump off the top. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Good story. Suplex back in. Yeah, Flair's done about every trick in his book so far. He's done the flip over. He's went to the top rope. He's taken the backdrop. He's dropped a couple knees. Look at these guys sitting here writing and keeping notes. They're doing a great job putting this off as, authentic.
Yeah. The judges have added to it, I think. It just makes it kind of gives it a bigger feel. Like the booking as far as getting there and announcing it, like it doesn't do anything. And I think Meltzer even commented on that, how
there it is.
It doesn't do much at all. But here, like seeing him in action, actually being invested into it and enjoying it and taking notes and scoring it legit, I think it adds to it a little bit. This gives it a bigger feel.
Yeah, I mean, other than, the way Steamboat debuted and then, some decent Flair not even Flair's greatest promos of all time, just some decent run-of-the-mill Ric Flair promos. Other than that, and maybe like the brawl at Clash 5, there really hasn't been a whole lot to this feud. It's just been really great matches. And that's what's funny is this went on this long. They've had now 3 matches now for the title. And there really hasn't been anything going on in between these matches. And yet when you sit down and just start watching the match, none of that even matters. And that just shows you how great these matches are.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you mentioned when we first started this trilogy, this is story number 1. And they weave a beautiful story from the beginning to end as far as the matches go. You don't really need anything else. You don't need the promos and all the other stuff. Just watch the 3 televised matches that they did, and you got the story. And it's tremendous.
Yeah, I kind of needed that backdrop for the Road Warriors Varsity Club feud, or even the Varsity Club and Rick Steiner, Eddie Gilbert feud. I need the storylines to really invest interest in those. But this, you're right. You don't need anything. Just pop these 3 matches in back to back to back and watch them. That's all you need with these 2.
Yeah, even the Dick Murdoch Bob Orton match. Yeah, like that thing needed a feud for sure, and it got me wanting to see it. But these guys, I didn't even care. They could have done nothing. They could have fought everybody on the roster between matches, and I wouldn't have cared. I still would have paid to see them.
And there's still a couple matches coming up after this. They put this on here because they wanted to make sure it got all the time it needed in, just in case they ran too long, which was wise. But we still have 2 championship matches coming up after this, the World Tag Title and the U.S. Tag Title match. And I'm happy. Well, here we go. Flair cradles him. 1, 2, 3. And just like that. And if you listen to the crowd, man, Flair's over. He's babyface here, man. Steamboat up just that fast after losing and shakes his hand that fast. They didn't even play it up. He just gets right up and shakes his hand. They do the WrestleMania 3 finish where Steamboat cradled Savage, only this time it was Flair trying to cradle Steamboat there. They did their best half-assed job at a cradle. But that's the finish, and Ric Flair is a 6-time champion, Steve.
Yeah, the finish seems a little flat. It kind of came out of nowhere, and I felt like the story they were telling, I felt like there's maybe 10 more minutes left in this match, to be honest with you. I was not expecting it to be that fast.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, Flair, I feel like they had both done everything they typically do other than Steamboat with a crossbody. Jim Ross talking to Ric Flair, 6-time champion. So the judges don't come into play after all, or do they? I guess we'll find out here in a minute. At least one of the judges will come into play. I have a little story on that as well, because Ricky Steamboat had lost this match, and he had thought himself, I don't know that he was promised this, but he had thought that there would be a return match, that since he had been champion and lost it, that he would now get his return match and, probably lose again, but he thought he had another return match coming. He didn't know what this was scheduled to happen. So imagine you just lose the belt and you're walking away from ringside and you turn around and you see an angle going on with the guy you just gave the belt to in the ring and nobody even informed you of it. And here's Terry Funk stepping in here. I'm going to let this play out.
on being the new world's champion.
Terry, thank you very much. We do appreciate the judges being here.
Hey, Rick, I also want to say that if it would have gone 60 minutes, that I would have liked to have, I would have voted for Ric Flair, because I think that you're the greatest wrestler in the world today.
Very nice. Thank you very much, Terry. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Terry.
You know, champ, it went past 35, 40 minutes. It was nip and tuck both.
You know, I would also like to go ahead, and I'd also like to go ahead and be the first one to challenge Ric Flair to that new championship.
Well,
Terry, I'm honored that you'd like to get in the picture, but as the wrestling fans know, you've been an actor, you've been in Hollywood, Sylvester Stallone, while I've been being the world champion. And we got a top 10. We got a top 10 that the world champion is obligated to wrestle. And that's why we are number one.
Wait a minute. Are you really saying that I'm not a contender?
No, what I'm saying, Terry, is that you are a great wrestler, but right now you're rubbing shoulders with Sylvester Stallone and not the world champion.
No. I was just asking. You think that I'm not good enough? You're saying that I'm not good enough, aren't you, Rick?
I'm not saying that at all, Terry.
Yes, you are.
If you want me to look you in the eye and tell you that I got a problem with wrestling a guy that's been out in Hollywood for 5 years, it's the bottom line, bud. I'm looking at the top 10, and you're not in the top 10.
No, Rick, hold it.
Let me conclude this by saying thank you. I'm honored, everybody. Win, lose, or draw, Ric Flair.
No. Rick, please, let me just say one more thing. I was just kidding you about going ahead and wanting to challenge you. I didn't want to really challenge you. I was just kidding you. So, dadgummit, let's go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Hey!
Boom, and off we go with our next angle, straight out of Steamboat and Flair, straight into Terry Funk and Flair here. What did you think of this the first time you ever saw this?
It's pretty intense. Again, like I didn't realize. I don't think I seen WrestleWar '89 until the late '90s or early 2000s. Like,
wow.
In my area, I didn't get a lot of turnover videos. There was not a lot at the video stores. Like I could get the War Games tapes, things like that, but they didn't really have much of anything from 89, 90, 91. So I essentially had to buy them myself later on, like through eBay and stuff like that. So it took me a long time to see this one. And there's a lot of things on this show that shocked me, like Michael Hayes winning. But when I saw this, I was like, holy cow. This is 89, so you don't expect to see any of this stuff, especially with what we're about to see right here. And just Terry Funk's just great. I mean, for Flair to go from Steamboat to Funk, that's one hell of a transition. It's completely different workers, completely different everything. Yeah. And it's definitely going to be a nice change of pace. But, yeah, first time I saw it, I was like, man, that's crazy. What a spot.
And this is before they gimmick tables, so this table doesn't break. And Terry Funk goes falling backwards. That's just classic Terry Funk right there, whether he intended it or not. But yeah, but this is intense is a great word to use for this. It's just wild, man. Just you really believe Funk, and it's so insane how Flair came into this match supposedly the heel. Although if you paid attention to commentary there and in the fans, he was solidly cheered when he won the championship. And then he had always been cheered quite a bit throughout the Steamboat feud anyway, but I don't know if they sensed that, so they pulled the trigger on this, or if this was just a planned period. But it's funny how he goes straight from being a heel to number one babyface in a matter of like 2 minutes.
Ooh, that fan's getting heated.
Yeah, I think Terry was about to deck him for real, too. That was close.
Funk can get some heat real easy.
JR. He's over here. I think Bob Cuddle's already gone. He didn't get out of the ring during the Flair Steamboat brawl at Clash 5, but he got the hell out of there when Terry Funk was ringside. Cuddle ain't no fool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Cuddle knows what's up. But the crazy thing is, I was going to say, I had a tape of some Memphis highlights, and I don't know, I had like a Terry Boulder match from like 79 or something, and then it was like a 1 hour show. I don't know. It was just a bunch of random matches from early Memphis, and
You're gonna say Rock and Rolls versus Savage and Pavo?
Yeah, I had
that's-
that, and I seen the table spot there, and when I seen that, this was like early '90s. I was like, holy cow! I don't know.
Yeah, those were the first two. Yeah, those were the first two table spots I saw as well. I saw them both renting videos.
I don't know what it was. I couldn't even tell you what tape it was. I was at a toy store and I saw like a wrestling tape, and my dad's friend was out there with me, and he bought it for me. It was like $5, and I went home and dude, when you're watching WWF every weekend, and you throw in a tape of nothing but Memphis highlights,
right?
Woo. I seen like a cage match. I seen Rick Rude like get his hair shaved or something. I can't even remember all of it, but I was like, oh my god, this is completely different. But it's crazy. Like those spots stick out, and because it just didn't happen all the time. Like I still remember vividly Bret Hart and Diesel at Survivor Series '95 because that was like the first time I seen but they actually like crashed through the table, and that just stuck with me because it's like, holy cow, you don't see that in WWF, so you remember it. Now it's just everything's watered down. So this angle and everything still sticks out because it's just crazy, and it's Funk and Flair. I mean, what more can you ask for?
And I know I didn't see this pay-per-view live, but I did rent it not too long after this happened. Maybe it might have even been by 1990, but I do remember seeing it. Now we've got Lance Russell replaced backstage by Joe Pedicino. They had been hyping that Lance and Jim Ross, I think it was Jim Ross, might have been Bob Caudle, but they're going to be doing the hotline after the show. So it looks like Lance is already going to take that job over, and we get Joe Pedicino here. Poor Nikita Koloff makes his return, his one-night only return, and he's stuck being interviewed by Joe Pedicino. And if this was anybody, that's totally 1989, 1990. Those lines in the side of your hair.
I had 3 of them every time I went and got my haircut. I had 3 lines, not that deep. It was just like very little lines. Like the top one was bigger than the bottom one and stuff like that. I've been trying to let my wife let me cut my son's hair like that one time, just so I could throw it back to my childhood.
Yeah, that's totally late 80s right there for anybody that wasn't aware.
That's so awesome. I didn't realize. I never seen Nikita like that.
So
Nikita, I don't remember.
Yeah. So Nikita totally adapted his American lifestyle here, doing the haircut. And I don't understand this. These got to be the same models as Ric Flair had, so they reused them here. But we get some pom-pom girls out here, some cheerleaders for the varsity club, which makes sense in gimmick, but I don't know why the heels have a cheerleading squad.
I don't know either.
And then you have the big bad Road Warriors coming down to ringside, which, totally contradictory entrances. And the reason, like I said earlier, the reason these matches come on after the Flair match is because they wanted to make sure Ric Flair had enough time, Steamboat had enough time, and for that angle to play out with Terry Funk. And these guys were given whatever was left of the show. And they used every bit of it, too, these 2 matches. They used every bit of it, too.
Does the network version have it to where the sound from the pop is overtaken by the dubbed-in music?
It's probably likely.
You hear the roadies pop.
No, I'm pretty sure it's dubbed over pretty well because the dub overs on here are pretty bad for Jim Ross too on commentary.
That sucks, man.
But here they come, and everybody's power walking to the ring. You'll see that in the next match too. Everybody starts power walking to the ring. This is the part of the show that I went back and tried to watch. I was a little curious how it played out after that Flair match. So that's my first look. At those fireworks are going off, but they have to get their shit in because they only have 6 minutes, 7 minutes or whatever. So
they're beating the shit out of them with spikes on and pyros going, and they're just beating the brakes.
They forgot to take their pads off because they're trying to get this thing going. Look how fast these guys are. Everybody's in like fast motion here. Let's get it in.
Hurry up.
Yeah, Nikita just ran. You barely even recognize Nikita. Look how thin he is.
I know, dude. It's crazy.
Without all the roids.
Does he got the ruse on? Or is that a little bit later down the road?
I think that's next year. While we have a second, I'll go back to that Flair match real quick, but I was telling that story about Steamboat wasn't even aware that angle was going to happen between Funk and Flair until he saw it happening as he was leaving ringside, and I guess that didn't sit well with him. And I'm sure that played some part in his leaving later on in the summer.
And I don't blame you. I mean, you get
Look at Nikita there. He's not going to let him take cheap shots now.
jacked. He's still jacked, but
Oh, he's throwing Kevin Sullivan out right away. And that makes sense because Kevin Sullivan has to work the next match. So the hell he's doing out there anyways beyond me. Hey, buddy, you got a title match next.
and that does suck for Steamboat because he gave Flair 2 chances, technically 3 if you count the 2 out of 3 falls. And
boom. There's Animal. R.I.P., buddy.
For him to get nothing, yeah, absolutely. R.I.P. there. You know what I noticed? I just saw this. Nick Patrick's already down there. I wonder if they had him down there just to kind of keep an eye on things, but also have him ready for the next match so they don't have to waste time getting him out there.
Yeah, it's
because there he is.
Yeah, it's I think well, yeah, he's down there sitting. I wasn't sure if maybe that's also playing into the whole no getting screwed over by the referee ordeal again as well. But yeah, Nick Patrick just sitting there waiting for his next match. If he calls the next match, if he's the ref for the next match, that makes sense. Otherwise, I have no idea what's going on. Rotunda barely clears that leapfrog, and a drop kick. Look like a AJ Styles spot there, only shitty.
Yeah, I don't expect an AJ Styles spot out of Mike Rotunda.
Catches Mike there into a power slam. Rotunda's letting his hair grow out. He's looking a little rough.
You think these guys' sense is getting close?
They're pros. They know how long they got. If you mean time-wise.
I mean, like, for like the varsity club, do you think they're starting to sense it?
I have no idea. I mean, Kevin Sullivan's in the... I don't know if he is yet or not. Is he in the booking committee yet? I'm not sure. If he's not, I'm sure he's still around the booking committee, so he'd have a better idea than anybody.
They've already started with Doc, but they kind of stopped that.
Which is funny because he'll be out of here pretty soon with the varsity club. Yeah, this match is just 100 miles per hour based on the guys involved. They're moving like lightning fast for their size. They're doing their... Look at that, Hawk with a clothesline off the apron. They came here to work tonight. Everybody came here to work tonight in this match, and it's unfortunate they were given the time they were given. I mean, you figure eliminate that Butch Reed match, take 10 minutes off that Lex Luger match, and Hawk just clotheslines the post.
He loves selling his arm with the post.
He's good at it, man.
Yeah.
And now they had to... Oh, they're still posting the right arm. I thought maybe they'd switch it up there.
I know he's good at it, but that spot is... for somebody that big to fit through that tiny hole to sell his arm every match is pretty incredible. I mean, he must have liked it. He must have enjoyed doing it.
Yeah, that was his go-to. I guess he was comfortable with it.
If you want me to sell, I'm selling my arm, dude. That's it. I'm not selling anything else.
Well, he certainly didn't sell pile drivers. He used to love popping up. Not. I'll never forget the match in Memphis when Jerry Lawler pile drove him, and he stood straight up and no-sold it. That had never, ever, ever been done before in Memphis. You did not do that. And
I'm sure.
I can't believe Lawler went. No, I'm sure it was planned, but I just can't believe Lawler went for it. Yeah, sell my finisher I've been using on everybody for 20 years, 15 years, whatever.
If I'm Hawk, he's probably like, you know what? If I can kick out of Jerry Lawler's pile driver, I'm never. If I can just get right up on Jerry Lawler's, I'm getting up on everybody's. Screw all of you.
Yeah, he kept that in his repertoire after that. We got all 4 guys in the ring now. Rotunda out to the floor. Nikita's in the ring, reffing, and what is this? Oh, that was interesting.
They did that on Saturday night to somebody too, and it looked a lot better than
Doomsday. Yeah, man, this is rushed as hell. Here we go. And Animal takes the back bump to take care of his buddy. Nikita gets pulled out. Spivey and Sullivan. Finally some Spivey. That's what I'm talking about.
He has the same hairdo.
It plays little howdy doody on your coconut. Oh!
Yeah, he's playing a little howdy doody on Nikita Koloff's coconut right now. That'd have been a fun little match, Nikita and Spivey.
Oh, that'd have been a fun-ass six-man.
Oh, yeah.
Roadies and Nikita versus Spivey in the Varsity Club.
And it felt like that. And it felt like that might be what they were going for here, but I think Nikita's in and out after this. I don't know if that was planned or if something came up. I know Nikita's wife was ill at this point. Big boot by Hawk on Doc. Look at Koloff. He's going after Spivey now. And what happens here is I think this winds up being a double disqualification, or I'm not even sure. Does the Varsity Club just get disqualified maybe? Oh, no, yeah, they get disqualified. So there you go. The Road Warriors get the win on a disqualification. And what happens after this, really odd, the belts are vacated. They strip the Varsity Club of the titles rather than give them back to the Roadies. And do the job. They vacate the belts and set up a tournament, all because the Varsity Club attacked Nikita Koloff. So if you stripped a guy of a belt every time he attacked a referee, there should have been a lot more vacant belts out there. But I thought that was really odd, a really weird decision. I guess that was the booking committee's only way of getting out of this without having the Varsity Club drop the belts. I don't know what the big deal about that would have been. Obviously, they didn't want to. Well, obviously, they didn't want to put the belt. I was just going to say that I don't think they wanted to put the belts back on the Road Warriors because then they would have had to beat them again. So maybe
and then you're back against the wall. But I think also too is just maybe they stripped him because Teddy Long screwed him. Now the Varsity Club's screwing them with the referees, so they're never going to get a fair shake. So maybe that's why they decide, you know what, you're never going to give them a fair shake, so let's just pull the plug.
Yeah, and that was unfortunate because they gave these guys like 6 minutes to go out there and work their blow-off match, and then their blow-off match winds up being a disqualification as well. But just very unfortunate. These guys worked hard for 4 months to build this match up, and that's all they get out of it based on time. Oh my, here we go. It's Missy Hyatt. Coming out in
Bonnie.
This is yeah.
Looks like something she wore.
U.S. Tag Team Title match. Champions Steiner and Gilbert here against Sullivan and Spivey. And can you explain to me why Sullivan and Spivey didn't just stay at ringside here? They've actually left the ringside in order to come back out.
You gotta get their music, man. And
their music here is like one of the Halloween Havoc opening music themes. I'd never even heard them use it before. I'm going to see if it's on the network here. I don't know if it is or not, but I'm going to see.
And his tag team partner.
All right, then we're not ready yet. Okay, that's fine. I do know that Sullivan and Spivey come power walking back to the ring to get in the ring to get this match going. Another reason why I said, why the hell didn't they just stay at ringside?
I understand, fans, that the board members that are here, including Jim Hurd, are meeting as we speak regarding the conduct of Dan Spivey and Kevin Sullivan on an NWA official. Now let's go back up to Gary.
Ladies and gentlemen, the challengers, members of the bar.
There you go.
It plays little howdy doody on your coconut. Ho!
Spivey and Sullivan power walk back to the ring. I just thought that was so funny Spivey's amazing. He's awesome. God. Sullivan with a big shot there. And I just wanted to note the hair versus hair stipulation that was added after that whole Saturday night show where Sullivan cut on Missy and Gilbert's hair. It's been waived. They don't even mention it here. It's as if it never existed. I don't know if the finish of this match was changed. The other team ended up going over here than who was originally supposed to go over, or what the deal was. I believe from what I've read, Eddie Gilbert was supposed to get his head shaved here. But the finish obviously changed. Sullivan's half bald.
Ponytail.
Right.
He has his hair up in a ponytail to make it probably easier to cut.
But Gilbert was slated to have his hair shaved here, if you believe what you read, and they ended up switching the finish to Gilbert and Steiner going over. And Steiner here, this is another interesting. You'll see he's selling that left arm. They posted him out here storyline-wise, but in real life he had torn his bicep 2 days prior to this pay-per-view. He came out here against doctor's orders to work this match with a torn bicep. That's why you don't see Rick Steiner in the ring right now.
Wow.
And Gilbert fires up here. Gilbert does a great job here, though. I love the neon green pants, too. But
it's crazy some of the stupid stuff these wrestlers do, man.
Yeah, especially back when they could get away with doing it. Now it's not so easy. With
like
these
Macho
doctors
with his staph infection at like WrestleMania 5.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Gilbert out there to check on Steiner. But I guess, when they to to go back to what I was mentioning earlier about the hair match, I guess when they flip-flopped the finish of the match, Sullivan said, brother, I'm not shaving my head. Which is ironic because he's already half bald.
Man, some people just are afraid to let it go.
Yeah.
Look at the crowd, man. Look at the crowd like over there. It's empty.
Yeah, it's empty and they're not moving. And that sucks too. Like, put these matches on early and save some of the lower-end matches for here.
Yeah, like, what was it? Chi-Town where they had the Steve Casey?
Kendall Windham match.
Kendall Windham.
Right.
Like, why not have, like, a standby match of, like, Reed and Ranger Ross? Why don't you put one of these tag matches on there? And obviously you can't bump Sting, so you could have bumped... you can't bump Muda. I mean, I don't know who else you'd bump, but... Yeah, like you said, cut, like, 5 minutes off of the Luger match, and there you go. You got these two matches.
Yeah, there's some weird booking decisions in these last two matches. The whole DQ finish in the World Tag Title match, and then the belts just being vacated immediately thereafter. And then here, in this match, you get, well, here we go. At least Sullivan's out there. He keeps posting Steiner. Steiner's being a man. He's not just laying out there. He's getting up and taking bump after bump to explain why he's not getting up on the apron to help Eddie. And Eddie's doing a great job taking the heat here, by the way. But this crowd is just done.
And it just goes to show, like, they're trained. Once the world title match is over, it's over. The show should be over. My God.
Yeah. Beautiful. Gorgeous.
I was waiting for it.
I was trying to find it on my soundtrack. It took a minute. I was too busy seeing if they were still showing it or not.
That's great right there. That's great right there. Sullivan dragging him over to get the tag.
That's great
Sullivan
heel stuff.
So good at that. He's so good at those little heel things like that.
He'd been in the business.
Good.
He'd been in the business close to 20 years by now. I mean, he worked for a long period of time in the WWF in the 70s.
It's crazy to think about how long he was actually in the business working.
Yeah. Yeah, you forget that, everybody really knows Sullivan from all of his 80s work. Georgia and Florida for sure. And obviously Crockett here. But yeah, he'd spent a whole many years prior to that up in New York. Obviously he's from Boston. But he worked up in New York for quite a while. He was never on top up there, but he was there for quite a while. And yeah, Memphis, he worked a lot of places. Sullivan had been everywhere and saw everything. He worked Knoxville, Alabama. I mean, I don't know if there was a territory he didn't come through at some point. Maybe Portland, but I'd probably be wrong about that too.
Oh, he was in Smoky Mountain.
Yeah.
ECW.
Yeah. Sullivan was everywhere. He knew every style and everything. That guy.
And it just goes to show, like, the dude can talk. And if you could talk, you could make it anywhere, really.
Yeah. And he was pretty decent at one point, certainly. Compared to his 1990s run in the Dungeon of Doom. Yeah. Comes over and slaps Steiner. Tommy Young getting into a Steiner now. I think we're going to the finish here, actually. They're trying to set up. I thought they were going for a spike pile driver there. I guess not. Steiner finally up on the apron, though. You'll see he's favoring that left arm. Almost kind of reminds me of the old British Bulldogs Heart Foundation when they posted Dynamite Kid because he couldn't work for the Hearts to win the belts. Only here, Steiner's hurt and they still win the match.
Tells you everything you need to know how they feel about the Varsity Club at this point.
Yeah, not only that, this is the last time you'll see the U.S. Tag Team titles until next year. This is the last time we'll be seeing the U.S. Tag Team titles as we cover 1989. Gilbert and Steiner retain, and they're never mentioned again.
They just drop them.
Yeah, there's no discussion. I think Scott comes in here pretty shortly, and Rick starts teaming with Scott, and rather than having Eddie and Rick drop the belts or somehow finagle it over to Scott, they just drop the belts. They don't exist. So that's another interesting point to this booking. You vacate the World Tag titles on a DQ, and then you put guys over, and the belts disappear here.
I guess it's a good way to just narrow it down to one set of titles. I mean, if you're going to vacate one, you might as well just get rid of the other, just so you can have like one solid champion. Maybe that's what the booking committee was going for there.
Boss man slam. Yeah, the only thing that sucks here is we didn't get to see Rick Steiner come in the ring and do any explosive work on Sullivan or even Spivey. Because he had a one-on-one with
Obviously.
Spivey on something we reviewed, and he threw Spivey around. Gilbert crossed through the legs, and there's the hot tag to Rick, but the referee does not see it. And here's the finish. Here we go. Sullivan looking for the referee with Spivey, and look at that Steiner line. Oh, nice, right into a jackknife. 2, 3.
Champions retain it. That's unbelievable. Sullivan rolls outside. Sullivan's got a chair. Gilbert is out. And Spivey nailing Steiner with a chair. Hammers his injured arm. Oh, no.
And he's taking shots. I don't care if they're weak shots. He's still letting him throw a chair at his, arm. It's torn arm.
That's a tough son of a bitch right there.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
You couldn't pay me to go through that with a torn bicep. I mean, NFL players are out for the whole year with a torn bicep. This dude's out here 2 days later taking shots with a chair, getting posted, and everything else.
Yeah, so we forget all about the hair versus hair stipulation. Sullivan says no thanks. Eddie Gilbert and Rick Steiner get the win, even though Steiner's, and look at him working the arm.
He's still working the arm. I'm just going to let you go, buddy.
Yeah, but Rick Steiner to come out here and do that, I mean, kind of reminds me of when Saturn tore everything in his knee and came out and did an elbow drop with his entire leg wrapped in a freaking brace and a cast. Yeah. That was insane too.
Off the top of the ladder too, right? You're talking about ECW,
I
right?
think it was just off the top rope. Might have been a ladder. I don't remember, but yeah, it was still ridiculous. No matter what it was ridiculous. No business doing that. And Steiner out here.
They just didn't care, man.
No, they had a job to do, and they did it.
Pros. Like, how do you explain that? I mean, if Rick Steiner wasn't there, like, how do you? I mean,
I guess you switch the match to a one-on-one, announce Steiner's injury, maybe do a substitution. I don't really know.
I guess you could have brought in Scott. He's already been around at least once.
Where did Bob Caudle go again? What the hell's he's going to bring him in now?
Let's see what he has to say.
Bob don't know what the hell's going on. Sure, we can listen to him for a second.
And I have been informed, just as you were calling the replay, that Mike Rotunda and Dr. Death, due to the actions of Kevin Sullivan, premeditatedly, after being ejected on an official, have been stripped of the World Tag Team Championship right here today.
Great. I think that's the kind of things that need to be done. Maybe we'll get some sanity back into what's happening, Jim. Because
Bob Caudle, man, he was so good, man, because he could do that just quiet, syndicated TV show pro stuff, the jot squash matches, and he really turned it on for the pay-per-views. I've seen a lot of, people that didn't grow up in this era crap all over Caudle's commentary, man, but he was good.
How do you crap on Bob Caudle?
I've seen it.
Wow.
It's just the next generation up, man. They don't see things for what they were then.
It's hard to explain. And it's really weird. Like it's as if you're not. I'm not gonna say if you're not like a wrestling fan. If you just like certain, if you grow up with Stone Cold, that's what you like, and you can't really go back. That's fine. But if you see something for 5 minutes without ever really giving it the time of day, then you don't really know. You shouldn't really comment on it. Bob Caudle's awesome. I mean, he's a great commentator. He never messes up. He knows what to say, when to say it, how to say it. He gets excited. I absolutely love him in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. I think he's incredible there. He really helped a lot of those stories and a lot of those angles go out and develop. And I don't know, man. I don't see how you can crap on Bob Caudle. I've never heard a bad show called by him.
Yeah, just search around, Google some, reviews from people, and you'll see it from time to time. As we're closing the show here, and I appreciate all you guys being here for the watch along. And make sure you go to Twitter and follow us at Wrestling Grenade. That's at RASSLIN Grenade. We'd love to have you, and the more people, more followers we get, the more gifts we can give away in the future. And this is just, it was a fun pay-per-view. It's night and day from the last pay-per-view. And not that I didn't enjoy Flair and Steamboat, but there was a lot of lull moments early on in that show, maybe the first hour of that the Chi-Town Rumble pay-per-view. And here, I wasn't too excited with the Michael Hayes match, but overall, I had a lot of fun with this one.
Yeah, I agree. This show just flew by. I mean, it didn't feel like a chore. Like, oh my God, we got to find something to talk about or something like that. This show just was constant, nonstop action. They finished the show off with, like 3 different angles. You got the Funk Flair, then you got the Nikita getting beat up by the Varsity Club, so they get stripped of the titles, and then they post Steiner and injure him. So, I mean, they not only delivered on their card, they delivered on getting you ready to, I want to watch Saturday night. I want to find out what's going on. So I thought this was a very good pay-per-view. A lot of good matches and very entertaining. Absolutely. I'm excited for the rest of 89 just based off of this show.
Yeah, I feel like the logic as far as wrestling in the ring goes has changed immensely. It's a lot more fast-paced, a lot less sitting around with rest holds, and the matches are shorter. Very much looking forward to Great American Bash coming up here this summer. It's probably my favorite NWA pay-per-view of all time, so definitely looking forward to actually watching that with someone. And we got some clashes coming up here pretty soon as well, and we've got some good clashes coming up.
Yeah, Clash 7 is one of my favorites of all time. I got a pretty cool story there that you're going to have to tune in to find out about involving JR. It's pretty cool, but I'll save that for the Clash. But, I can't wait for those. I love Clash 7. I don't know why, but I do. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Great American Bash. I don't really remember that one too much. I know it's the War Games, then you got the Battle Royal stuff, so I'm excited to check that out and rewatch it. It'll be like the first time again. So
yeah, man, I've had a blast, man. It really went fast for me, and it was very helpful that they left the Oak Ridge Boys out.
That's no lie.
I'm a little sad about the final countdown, but I'm happy about the Oak Ridge Boys.
It's crazy, like just like this show right here, what we just watched was really, really good, and then you throw in the Oak Ridge Boys, that kind of would feel like it'd kill your whole momentum.
Yeah, slows things down in the middle of the show, but at least the fans were still hot for Flair and Steamboat.
Yeah, absolutely. They were smart by going right to them, or no, who did they go from? Oh, the SST to the Luthez.
Yeah.
Or not SST, but Oak Ridge to the Luthez. Huh.
Yeah.
Fun time. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to thank everybody for listening and subscribing and downloading and continuing on with the Grenade. And we'll be back again next week where we're going to cover another 3 weeks of NWA television to close out the rest of May. And then we'll head into the month of June. We'll be back, me and Steve, here again next week for the final 3 weeks of May and the NWA 1989.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Okay, and just a couple quick notes before we let you go this week. I want to thank you guys again for joining us for the WrestleWar 89 watch-along. We had a blast. It was absolutely the most fun I've had so far. Just the product made it easier to follow and have fun and just enjoy the show. I just felt really loose and enjoyed my time. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. We have another watch-along coming up soon as we head into June, and we'll be doing a Clash of the Champions watch-along at that time. But until then, we have a lot more shows to go through. Next week, as I mentioned, 3 more weeks of May 1989 TV in the NWA. I also must give another shout out to the good people over at the Retro Network. You can follow them at TRN Social on Twitter, and you can head to their website at theretronetwork.com. All kinds of goodies going up every day. Head over there early and often. Check them out. Always new stuff going up. Always fun stuff to read. Always great videos, music playlists, everything. So yeah, absolutely. Check out the Retro Network. Never a dull moment. Never a boring day over there with all the good stuff going up over there. Jason, Mickey, and the crew. Thank you guys so much for allowing us to come into your home at the Retro Network. And thank you guys at home, our subscribers, our listeners, everyone who's downloading the show. Thank you guys for inviting us back into your home each and every week so far. And we will continue to be back in your home as long as you'll let us. So once again, a congratulations in order for our winner of the Lex Luger promo pick contest. Again, congratulations. And we'll have another promo pick contest, or another free prize giveaway contest, I should say, coming up pretty soon here. Stay tuned to our Twitter as well as the Grenade podcast for information on the next of what will be many free prize giveaways, we hope. And we can only continue to do that if we continue to grow. So please spread the word. Tell your friends to follow us at Twitter. Follow us on Twitter at Wrestling Grenade. That's at RASSLIN Grenade. The more followers we get, the more prizes we can give away. It's a win-win for everybody, so keep that in mind. And that about wraps it up this week. We'll be back again next week with more Wrestling Grenade. And Until then, from pillar to post and coast to coast, you pull the pin, we'll pick up the pieces right here on the Wrestling Memory Grenade. See you next week. Don't miss it. Be there.